Okay, Israel. Shalom, everybody. The water again for those who are going to tune in today. Shout out Cobb's Water Truth family in Guatemala. The brothers and sisters that he teaches from California to Georgia. Shalom to everybody. Amayataza in London. Shalom and peace to you too. SOW family, Stream of Wisdom family in Virginia, Kazakia, and the brothers and sisters out there. Shalom. SOW Houston, Quatazat, La Korab, the brothers out there, Shalom. SOW family in Rochester, New York, Zion, and Shaquat. Shalom, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We're doing the same. We're fighting the good fight out here. Once again, the Passover is coming on the 31st. I think we've hit our peak on numbers. So, hey, I think the numbers are kind of locked in right now. I think we're close to it doesn't matter where we are, but it's going to be good to see everybody when it comes down. It's going to be a great time. We get a couple days to kind of bond with brothers and sisters, so that's always a good thing. And without further ado, we're going to go into class today. The title of the class is Humility to the Poor, a Key to Spiritual Growth. Humility to the Poor, a Key to Spiritual Growth. The last few classes that I've been on, it's been kind of tapping into different elements and different aspects of humility. And today is no different. We're going to finish off this topic and go to the next one. But I wanted to kind of start off when you sit back here and you hear about the topic humility to the poor, the first thing you think about, well, maybe in my head, you think about is sitting back here and helping out the brother on the corner who might be struggling and going through some hard times. And there's nothing wrong with that scenario of helping a person out, but the problem with helping a person that's out in the street, you just don't know where their head is at. You don't know where their heart is at. You don't know where their commitment to the Lord is at. And before I go into this class about our humility to the poor, I want to make sure I'm guiding the audience the proper way so we can learn how to give to the poor and how to give to the individuals who really need. It's very important to be educated on how to help out the sick, because there's all type of sick. There's different levels of sickness amongst our nation. Just because you don't have to be on the street to be sick. You don't have to be on the corner to be sick. So we're going to sit back and read about this, the type of responsibility and obligation that we have to the poor, and how committing to the poor really is one of the greatest forms of humility that we can show to the Lord. The first verse we're going to go into is Ecclesiastes and the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 1 through 7.
But when you say the word poor can be vague.
Because that's why we're going to get specific when we talk about the poor. Poor, needy, sick. There's different elements and aspects of the poor that we have to explain and properly educate. What was you going to say?
I wasn't talking inside, but it's just another verse to go after that.
Once we get rolling, then we'll do it. So, let's get Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 1 through 7, because we have to set the tone on how to properly help the people out. Okay? Now, this is not me bashing anybody that helps the poor or does who gives out charity work to people or gives out food plates to people. All power to you. So there's no knocking that at all. There's good in all type of works we do.
And we give out clothes anyway.
Exactly. We do that too. But when it comes to centralized focus on helping, the scripture kind of gives us a guideline on how to do that. And he also shows what kind of man chooses not to do that for his people. So, let's get this verse. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1 through 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it.
The Most High is very clearly explained to us just to haphazardly just do good to every single person. Like, I don't know if you're saying we pay it forward. You're just giving to people every 5 minutes. Pay it forward, bro. Man, that's cool. But the Most High is saying, listen, we're going to give to somebody. Know to who you're giving it to. Have an idea of the person in your neighborhood, the person, what they're going through. Know their circumstances and know the people you're working with when you're dealing with people. when you do good, know to whom thou doest. Know who you're doing good to. Know who you're considering. Learn who you're showing love to. Have a consciousness of these things. Read on.
So shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits.
He says, because if you understand who really needs it, and you have a relationship with the people who need what you have to offer, it'll get received better. I've sat back here in my personal life giving to a lot of people that if you don't understand their circumstance and know them, most of the time, you won't even get the respect enough to be told thank you.
Yeah.
I know with a lot of people that you just want to give and be considerate to, and they'll just take. Because the sad thing in this world is full of takers. Takers, abusers, and people who don't really consider the Most High, nor do they really care about the Most High. So as we're learning how to give to people, take our time to understand their condition so you can be a better service to them. Because sometimes a person might ask you for something, but they really don't need that. I've seen people sit back here and want money for some Ripple or some liquor when they really should sit back here and get some help to find a shelter. So what's the better help? Helping a brother with a shelter, or giving him some alcohol and drink to help destroy his liver and his kidneys and his body?
We've had it before.
That happens all the time.
We've had where brother wants brotherhood time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for brotherhood time. But you think brotherhood time is
Pooping.
not open drinking.
Yeah.
And when you drink, you go home and your hands
It was
get real big.
hooping then drinking.
Yeah, it was hooping then drinking.
Yeah.
But that's not really necessarily brotherhood time.
God. Brotherhood time is, let's get in this Bible. Let's sit back here and work on your alcoholism from a different perspective than just sitting back here and rewarding with alcohol or money so you can mismanage
Good
it.
times.
So it's even to the point where when you're giving to people, know their condition so you can properly give them what they need. Listen, not too long ago, there's a brother who wants donations. But when we sit back here and offer the brother, hey, do you need lodging? Do you need a place to stay? Do you need blankets? Do you need food? And then we offer a person different things. He gets mad at us because we just didn't shut up and pay him money. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says, listen, know who you're giving it to before you give the gift. Maybe you might be giving something to support his habit. How do you know? I'm going to sit back here and just give you money for drugs just because you asked for it? And say we're supposed to be brotherly and consider you?
It says give.
Yeah. And so you got to know the condition before you give properly so you can get the right response back. That's first thing. Let's continue.
Ecclesiastes 12:2. Do good to the godly.
And then once you do good, you're supposed to do good to the person who's trying to serve the Lord.
Yep.
Who's trying to make changes in the Heavenly Father's eyes.
So that's the person Most High targets.
Listen, we're going to go into more specific about who Christ targets, but before we go into full throttle understanding how to give to the poor in spirit, because we're going to go heavy into our, scripturally, it says you're supposed to give our life to the poor. We're supposed to give our life to the poor. But before we sit back here and throw it all away, we got to know what type of poor we should be directing our lives to. What type of sick we should be sitting back here and changing and curving our lives in service to. Before we just sit back here and aimlessly just throw things away to people who don't appreciate it. So he says, do good to the godly man. Read on.
It says, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High.
So the reality, if you're doing good to a person who's trying to change, the Most High will reward you. And more times than not, it comes from the person, from the Heavenly Father, and not the direct individual. But that's okay. If we got a person really going through some issues and going through some changes, hell yeah, you should go out of your way for that person. If they're trying, but we have to sit back and walk some type of circumspectly to make sure we know who we're diverting all this energy and attention to. Because there's a lot of people that just take and have no thought at all about giving to the Most High at all. So let's continue.
Verse 3. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil.
So, there's no good to a person that's always occupied in evil, and we have to be aware of the people that we're giving these resources to. Because if they're always occupied in evil, why would we sit back here and give our resource to people who are always occupied in evil? And how do you know if they're occupied in evil or good unless you take the time to get to know them?
Prove it, friend.
So that's the thing. This is what we're trying to do. So let's keep working.
Nor to him that giveth no alms.
Mm-hmm. So this is, once again, we're supposed to give to people who are trying to at least give what they can in the capacity that they can give. It's not about how much a person gives. It's about sitting back here and working with people or trying to extend out to people and commit your life to people who at least have an idea of what they're trying to serve, and we at least have an understanding of what they're trying to commit themselves to.
They value what you do.
Do they value the same things you're valuing before you sit back here and overly commit yourself to a person? Let's continue.
Come on, verse 4. Give to the godly man.
Give to the godly man. You have to understand a person. You have to spend time with a person before you can even determine if they're godly or not. You know how many people that I know that have fringes and say Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah and they're wicked as hell? Just because you know Hebrew and you have a Hebrew name and you can say some Hebrew words don't make you righteous. Don't make you spiritual. Don't make you somebody that you have to commit all your resources to. Let's continue.
Give to the godly man, and help not a sinner.
It says help. Did it say help a sinner?
Help not
It said
a sinner.
help not a sinner. So you got to take the time to figure out what kind of caliber of person you're dealing with before you just sit back and commit sources and resources to individuals. This is why even when we deal with brothers, we sit back here and invest into men and get to know men. And then once we get to know men and their situations and their circumstances, then we can commit all our resources to them. All of our time to them. All of our love to them. All of our spirit to them. Didn't the scripture say to prove a friend? Or to prove the brothers we work with and we give our lives to? It will be sophomoric and childish of us just to give to whoever just because they ask for it. That makes no sense. Let's continue.
Verse 5. Ecclesiastes 12 and 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly.
So we're definitely supposed to commit to the lowly. We're definitely supposed to commit to the individuals who need and are going through challenges. But that doesn't force us to sit back and give to every single Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes and asks for it. Unless we take the time to get to know these people and have a rapport with these people and a relationship with these people. Then we can sit back here and you'll get the best of our spirit. Well, let's continue.
Hold back thy bread,
Mm-hmm.
and give it not unto him.
Now,
He
why
said,
would the
hold
Most High
back
say
your
that?
bread.
Why would the Most High say that? People paint the Most High in one light. It's either all love, or it's all just give to anybody. People look at both sides of the Father.
Yep.
Yes, give, but to who? Yes, his love, but then also he what?
The ones that are sinners and don't want to serve and change. Why am I going to sit back and burn all these limited resources that we have to people that don't commit to this word? It ain't like these schools have all these resources and energy and finances just to give and disperse to everyone else. We're not the Red Cross. We're not the Red Cross. Not all these programs. What are some other programs that just have
Blue Red
endless
Cross,
funds
Blue
of
Shield.
well, no, that Blue Shield is insurance. I'm talking about
Salvation
Habitat
Army.
for Humanity, Salvation Army. We're not these ridiculous organizations that are multi-million dollar financed. Boys and Girls Club. We don't got that kind of strong money. So you sitting back here have a handful of people that are busting their ass to work. We're going to give these resources to people who really value and appreciate it, and we know that are trying to change. I'm not talking about teaching Bible verses, breaking down information, maybe giving a meal here and there. It's not talking about that. Of course you do that. Because what happens, though, is people, you give to somebody once, guess what happens? They want more, they want the next day, they want the day after that. If we're talking about that situation, we got to get to know you. Now let's get to know where you're at. Why are you in your condition? Where are these resources being allocated to? These are real questions. Because there's a lot of people out here that go in a corner and hustle, and that's their job. I don't know if you heard of that.
And we know, brothers. Listen, brothers act like they've been around since '92. Brothers act like we haven't had brothers in the
We
camp.
we was around before 92.
Yeah.
We saw hustle before 92.
I'm gonna say this: we've had brothers blows at the door, and they say, "Yes, man, I'm about to go to work today," and their job is literally hitting corners up, hitting up gas stations up,
Yep.
and brothers over slamming meals. Let me get your receipt. Get the receipt.
Yes.
Y'all, my meal wasn't right. Okay, here's another meal. They're professional.
I think you were kind of fast to that. You kind of explained it fast. But it was just, he's saying there was brothers in the past. We're not going to name names. And we sit back and go from one restaurant to another. And just go dig in the trash and find a receipt of a meal. And then go to that spot and say, man, yeah, hey, you guys messing with my food. You did this and this. And all of a sudden, you just make a living off of going to restaurants and getting new meals.
Living for free.
Until for years they say, don't serve this man. They got a picture of you going in there like this.
This guy's face is on the wall.
Don't serve this man.
Don't
like this.
serve him.
They see you.
And then the people in the parking lots, he'd be hitting up like, man, you've been hitting me up for 5 years.
No, but then there's that same person's at the gas stations, hustling the gas station, asking for money for gas.
And then pop back in the camp and be like, I need the Lord. I want God. And as soon as you get the paycheck, shalom. Listen, we've done this 1,000 times. We've had Moses Angel. You know who Moses Angel is? I don't know who he is either. He's some cat that came in. He's a car dude.
Don't throw tribes out, though. I see these tribes. Like, look at him. God, there's so much bias here.
I'm not biased. Brother popped the brother's house out. I need some help. I need some love. And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna look out for the
You
brother.
could have said Moses Angel.
Well, I'm like,
anyway, it's okay.
We said, who are you? He said, my name is Moses Angel. I said, okay. Look up, everybody woke up this day, nobody's wallet is in existence. Everybody's wallet disappeared.
The angel took it out.
The angel got the wallet.
The angel
Moses Angel came in the house and just got all the wallets. Nothing else. So we've done this 1,000 times, bro. We do this. We know. And it's okay.
It isn't like we don't deal every day with the sick for the sick.
Yeah.
And this is experience talk.
So when people want to thumb down and be upset, listen, you're thumbing yourself down.
Yeah.
You're thumbing yourself down. You're thumbing
I wish
down.
there were people, I wish there were names that came with the thumb down. I would love it. It would be awesome.
You're thumbing down your life.
Yeah.
You're disapproving of someone who wants to give to you, but you don't want to give to God.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Moses Angel came in not to serve the Most High. He came to get everybody's wallet out. Brothers don't have IDs now. Brothers walking around. Cops are like, man, let's see.
Wallet bandit. Yeah.
I don't have an ID, sir. Why not? Because Moses Angel got my wallet. No one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that, bro.
So after like 4 Moses angels, you start sitting back here and start reading the Bible and say, oh, we shouldn't have sat back here and let Moses Angel in. Moses Angel should have came to class for a few months before we brought him to the brother's house.
Exactly.
Maybe that was the answer.
We was bombing the house.
Maybe Moses Angel shouldn't have had access to the B house after a week of talking to him.
He's on the streets, huh? He's on the streets. He needs help. We got to help this brother out.
That's been a situation for all the time.
Okay, cool. And then everybody's wallet's gone.
Yep. Then also, then what are you going to do? Then is it God's fault or is it your fault? It's our fault.
Don't blame Jesus.
Because the scripture says, give to the godly man. That man has to get proven first. Get to know this person before they get access to the realm at that level. Let's continue in Ecclesiastes 12.
Ecclesiastes 12:5. Do well unto him that is lowly.
I'm never.
I remember guys that sat back here and was on their business and would go and just break into brothers' houses and take stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's Moses Angel took wallets. Another guy took CDs and guitars and everything, bro.
And basketball cards, all the Jordans.
All the Jordan cards, Dominique Wilkins cards,
man,
gone.
Bro.
So this has happened quite a few times.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's continue on.
Verse 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him.
He said, hold back your bread, hold back your resources until you get to know a person. Like verse 1 says, when thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it. The only way I can know who good I'm doing, I got to know the person. I got to get to know you. Is that?
I gave it to a brother by mistake. I didn't realize it was a mistake.
You had your Moses Angel incident, I'm just saying.
He was wandering around, and I gave him $5, and then I started talking to him, like trying to show him, like, you know, literature and all that.
There you go. There is go. Come on. Can you say like Zebulon, or can you say, yeah, you're Benjamin?
Brother.
Okay, you're an Israelite brother. Anyway, let's keep going.
But no, he was like, and And I just started talking to him, and I said, "Are you homeless?" He's like, I started looking at his attire. He's like, "No." I said, "Oh, what's the situation?" And, "Oh man, I just want a bunch of weed on my mom."
The question, was he gonna give that $5 back? Was he giving that $5? Ever giving that $5 back?
$5 back?
No, he ain't giving that $5 back. You gave it a $5. Why did you give it back for? And that's the thing. It's not about not wanting to give to people. It's not about not showing love. It's not about, oh, we don't care for the brothers. Listen, can I get to know you so I can know how to best help you? If you're sick, why am I going to rely on your vision of what you need to get yourself unsick? I got to get to know you to know how to greater help you for the long run. Then those, I don't know what type of fable it was when it says, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for one day. If you teach him how to fish,
Aesop.
he could sit back. I wasn't sure if it was Aesop. He would sit back and live forever. I just sit back here and teach you how to get off your ass and go to work. Maybe you need that more than a couple bucks. Let me sit back here and help you get off the drugs so you can get stable. So you can learn how to fight your battle as to why you're in the situation you're in. Versus just getting something to placate you so you can go and do what you want to do and be comfortable
Give you
again.
Band-Aids.
Because that's really what it is. So, this is just a rule of thumb when you're dealing with you. This is not, we're not even going into this to deter our people from giving. It's not about deterring Israel from giving. It's about helping to condition your mind on how to properly give effectively so the Most High can sit back here and bless you for it. Because he's telling you if you give to the godly man, you get rewarded. So what if you give to a negative person? Did they say anything about a recompense?
No.
If you give it to the sinner, you gonna get recompense? You gonna get recompense with lost wallets?
Yeah.
That's what you gonna get recompense with. That's the lesson. So that's why there's hesitancy on people's part to just aimlessly give out of nowhere. Unless we know you or or trying to build a relationship with you. Because there's been many brothers come to these doors, you just step them in. Okay, let me give you this. Let's see how you react. Let's help you with this. Let's help you with that. And then we gradually build you up. That was a brother that wanted to come to the brother's house. He came here out and he sat back here. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but he wanted to live at the brother's house. But just didn't want to do what it took to be in order to even get put to the brother's house. We're not going to send men from the street to the brother's house and make everybody's life uncomfortable and make men get double bolt locks in their rooms out to protect all their stuff. At least not anymore.
No.
So we can sit back here. We got to get to know people first. And because we just didn't jump and let a person in, he was going crazy. This was like maybe 2 years ago. Remember that cat?
I ain't gonna forget it.
I ain't gonna name his tribe. I promise. But this cat,
Southern Kingdom.
huh?
Southern Kingdom.
It was Southern Kingdom.
The Southern Kingdom got us this time.
It was. The point is, this brother wanted a handout, and when he didn't get it, he would want to get violent. And I'm like, damn, can you imagine if I would have put this violent guy at the brother's house? It would have been Dan Tebow at the damn house.
You can't eat all the orange juice out. Oh, really? You
you ain't gonna make me out? Okay, you can have the orange juice, bro. Be meek today. There'll be meekness today. And then we gotta sit back here. Once you get a person in, you gotta box and get out, or call the cops. It's fighting or the cops. It's one or the other.
And the only requirement we had was this.
It would have been both. And it would have been 1-on-1. It would have been like 5-on-1. Because this dude was ready to go. This dude was ready to go.
He was dialed in.
He was ready to go. Once he's in, he wasn't getting them out.
You gotta get his legs.
But somebody got to take the blow up top for the other guy to get the legs.
Yeah, you gotta get his legs though.
Somebody got to get a couple hits in the dome, man.
Yeah.
And somebody else to get him on the legs. Then they got to grab him, man. Cats got to make business decisions with these kind of guys,
Yeah.
I'm not even lying, You got to make real business decisions,
But listen, you know our requirement was? Our only requirement was, can you get up in the morning, catch a bus, and get to class?
That was it.
That was the requirement.
I was like, if this brother can sit back and commit to taking the bus from where he was to class for like a week or two,
cool,
then we'll give him that shot. He didn't want to do it. And then he was mad that we didn't let him stay at the house. Then he started cussing us out like, dude, okay, now we get it. You don't want to make any adjustments.
Yeah, you want your.
So once you was in the crib, was you going to make adjustments then? Was you going to serve God then once you was in?
Oh, it's going to be gone, huh?
Listen, everything, orange juice, potatoes,
Yep.
fries, chicken, it was all gone, huh? Bills weren't getting paid. CPS was not getting paid today. Huh?
Make me pay the electric bill.
That's what I'm saying. Just bump, 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 bump. This guy's a damn, he's a menace in the house then, huh?
Yeah.
You can't tell him nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is what we're going into this to teach men how to be alert to these things to determine if men are really serious about the Lord or not. Anyway, but this is only one side to it, because as we go into the scriptures, once we get past these formalities, everything else falls into play. We're going to go into the word of Christ. We're going to go into the need to show love and brotherhood. That's coming, but you got to have this in your head going into this experience. Men have to learn to respect the realm. We have to learn to respect what this is before they get the fullness of our attention and focus. Yes, sir?
Can I pull a verse?
Where's it at?
In Acts.
Is this a long story time?
It's like 6 verses.
I know it's one verse.
You gotta know who you do good to, brother. Try to sneak in 6 verses.
No, it was based off what you said when you were talking about
6 verse sneak out.
You were saying you'll give the Bible verse, you'll teach.
Yeah.
But we don't have money. And it was a sort of Acts, and Peter did the same thing.
We'll do it. We'll get this. I don't want to take it off too much.
Right.
I need at least 5 to kind of get the balls rolling. So let's continue in verse 5 from the top.
Because Ecclesiastes 12:5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby.
Let's look up overmaster.
What's that mean?
Everybody, y'all, it's not, y'all, brother, yeah, brotherly. When you give a person that you don't know, that you don't know if they're really about serving the Most High or not, they're going to overmaster you. Overmaster, yeah.
Overmaster in the 1828. To overpower, to subdue, to vanquish, to govern.
They'll start running you, man. And you'll start serving their every whim. $20 turns into 100.
Guilt trip.
You start getting guilt tripped into serving them. Serving whatever they want without them learning how to be in order. Listen, if I'm in a bad position,
Why?
why am I in a bad position? Let me sit back here and be taught how to do things the right way so the Most High can elevate me. That's the lesson. The reason, nobody wants to talk about why I'm in this jacked up condition. Let's learn how to master what's inside of you. Learn how to get in this book and learn obedience, and then the Most High will pull you out on His own. That's what we give. That's the greatest gift we give. But let's continue.
It says, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him.
That's why that Moses, this real guy, what was Moses? What angel?
Moses
Listen,
angel.
the twice as evil was getting all the waters taken. That was a lot of evil that happened in the house, right? That extra evil comes when you give them to people who you don't know and who aren't vetted in the Christ. I'll go into another scenario. There was a brother who needed a place to stay, and he was a brother that used to be in the truth. And then a brother brought him into the other side of the brother's house because he was a brother in the past. And guess what ended up happening? That brother started teaching the brothers on the other side about Paul was off. Paul was wicked. He was going contrary to the doctrine. I'm like, why would you let a person live on the other side of the brother's house that didn't even believe in the book?
And he pushed the wrong burning bush out.
He was pushing all kind of off doctrines that was against the scriptures. Why move a person that doesn't believe in the book around brothers who are trying to learn and grow in Christ?
Brand new spirits.
That didn't make sense. And he was smoking weed. Why bring a person like that amongst people trying to grow? Because I knew him from back in the day, and he used to be in the truth. That's bad decision making. Yeah. As brothers, we have to learn people, learn their circumstances, know where they're at before we put them amongst the body on a permanent basis. Or we start allocating resources to a person. That's just not wisdom. So, let's continue. So he says when you do that, when you allocate resources to people that don't appreciate it or aren't vetted, then you get double curses coming to you. Okay? And then this is for sisters too. This is why we tell sisters, don't sit back here, especially for unmarried sisters, don't sit back here the person that you might have interest to, you better have him come to class. You better have him come to class, and it better not be for a week. He likes class a lot.
He loves the Lord.
He loves class. And don't do what brothers do. Brother will bring a woman to class for 2 days, but she likes class like she's in there. She's in there. My turn.
She loves God.
My turn. That's what brothers do.
I don't know what happened.
Let them get in for 6 months of the Bible. Then make a choice. Women, y'all better sit back here and have them commit to this work for a period of time. Then you'll sit back here and see whether they're worth your time. It's just the truth. But let's continue. I had to bring that out there, man.
You complain because this is the problem. You want us to counsel him, a guy that doesn't even want to hear the Bible. You want after you have Spud McKenzie eye. You want to sit here and be like
Spud McKenzie? What?
Spud McKenzie eye. Remember Spud McKenzie eye?
Yeah.
I just now I get it.
That white dog eye. He has a white dog.
The color contrast was like it was a big circle here.
Yeah. He had the Spud McKenzie eye. You're like, okay, now you want us to teach him the Lord, but he don't care about the Bible. We can bring all sorts in the world. We can't make him care about the scriptures.
You better get that worked out early, bro. Or there's gonna be a lot of those Spud McKinney's counsels out.
You know what I'm saying, bro.
But let's keep going, man.
Verse 6.
Yeah.
For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment.
So it's not about knocking people who are poor and have issues. It's about he hates people that are. Didn't the scripture say he has a poor man is proud? Let's find that verse.
Why would the Most High hate the poor? It's not the
You see,
poor.
it's an
a certain type
oxymoron.
of
Well, let's get it. Poor man is proud. Who got it? Poor, proud.
Ecclesiastes 25 and 2.
25 and what?
25 and 2.
Let's read that. Ecclesiastes 25 and 2.
God, come, I got you.
God's all love, right?
No, he ain't.
Find out.
Now, if you read it. Bible don't tell me so.
You ready?
Yep, let's read it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and verse 2 reads,
I know exactly what
3 sorts of men my soul hateth, and I am greatly offended at their life. A poor
He's
man...
offended at their life. He said he hates their existence. He said, I don't like these guys, how they walk in the morning.
Listen,
I don't like how they eat eggs in the morning. I don't like it. I don't like how they roll. I don't like how they do anything.
Listen,
read it from the top.
He's sitting on the throne now. Remember, we read about the Most High sitting on a fiery throne out with the wheels.
Yeah,
he's in the spiritual realm.
And he's looking down and he's seeing people he ain't feeling. What's the verse again? It's Ecclesiastes 25 and what?
2.
That's wild. It's true though.
Yeah.
3 sorts of men my soul hateth.
I don't like this dude. I don't like how this dude's walking. Why is he walking like that? Why is he acting like that? Read on.
This is amazing.
And
Why is he smiling like that? Why is he smiling with that whack-ass grin he got?
Yeah.
Read on.
And I am greatly offended at their life.
He says, I'm offended at their mode of operation.
Wow.
I don't like how they roll. Read on.
Wow.
A poor man that is proud.
Because I can't stand a poor man. Not that he's poor, because the Bible's going to tell you how Christ's love had sent Christ down for the poor. So it's not about that. And he sent us down to serve the poor. So it ain't about the poor part. He's talking about the poor man that's proud, that can't get taught, that can't take a check, that can't take instruction. So why would we pour resources into a poor man that don't want to listen and don't want instruction? That's when you sit back here and they need to fall more. So he says he can't stand when a poor man is proud. Read on.
A poor man that is proud, a rich man that is a liar, and an old adulterer that doeth.
And an old adulterer that doeth, that just has his hit list in the back of his mind about all the houses he's ruined and families he's ruined. So I can't stand that guy either. So all I wanted was the first part, how that poor man that's proud, he can't stand their existence. So we're not supposed to hate any man, but we got to be cautious. And we got to figure out what type of person we're committing ourselves to before we move forward, right? So with all that being said, did you finish that in Ecclesiastes, the other one?
No, verse 7.
Let's go back to 12 and 7.
Come on, Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Give unto the good, help not the sinner.
It's very simple. Okay? And this chapter kind of sets the tone for now how are we supposed to be humble to the poor, and how are we gonna use this information to still serve the poor and grow spiritually. Okay, now let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 3. Matter of fact, give me 2 and 3.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 2.
Okay, read that.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 2. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying,
This is Christ talking from verse 3 down. Esau calls them the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes. Okay? Well, at least the Catholics teach that. But let's keep going.
verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit.
So the Most High is like, the poor, the people that are poor in spirit, they're blessed. Okay?
What's that talking about?
The blessing is the fact that the focus, Christ's focus, is going to be on the poor in spirit. When you read other chapters, Christ said, I didn't come to sit back here and save the whole.
The whole.
I came to heal the sick. So he says, the ones that are sick, the ones that are poor in spirit,
In need.
the ones that are in need, but they're still good in them, and they're still trying to change, I'm coming for them. And my focus is to deal with the poor in spirit, the sick, the Israelites that have gone through challenges, ups and downs, sicknesses, issues, poor financially, poor spiritually, but they're here to serve and learn. Those are the ones that Christ built this entire faith off of. Okay, read verse 3 again.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Now listen, we're going to sit back here. He says the kingdom is coming to the individuals who have the flaws, who have the problems. Because the people that have the problems are what? Moldable. The people that Christ is looking for are the people with the flaws, the issues, the head trips, but they're trying to change. A lot of times, the individuals that are whole aren't here to serve God. This is why I always say the camp is never going to be the 27 Yankees. These bunch of heavy hitting baller ass. That's a better one. The 27 Yankees was like,
That's dope, bro.
was like the greatest lineup in Major League history. Nothing but Hall of Famers from 1 to 7. That's why they always say the 27 Yankees or the 91 Bulls or the 96 Bulls.
Yeah.
Listen, we're not the 96 Bulls. How about that? We're not the 96 Bulls. We're a bunch of tryhards and maybe one days like maybe woulda, coulda, shoulda. We were like the bench warmers.
Other guys.
Let's be the other guys. Like, we're that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're not this great bunch of guys, perfect bunch of guys. We're full of problems, and that's okay. Those are the ones Christ is coming for. The ones that are poor and sick, that are wrestling with their pride and confidence and outlook, self-esteem, their anger, their doubt. He's coming for those people. So Christ said, blessed are those, because they have an opportunity to get to the kingdom. So let's add more to this. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 11 and 12. In the Apocrypha. Ecclesiastes 11 and verse 12.
Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 12.
Let's get it.
I like this topic. It's a very mature topic. Because it's easy to be religious.
Yeah.
And I always bang on that. It's easy to be in the truth and still be religious. We got to be in the truth, but we can't be religious here.
Mm-hmm. So let's read this.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 12.
So Christ said, blessed be the poor in the spirit, because they're getting the kingdom. Let's read verse 12.
God, again, there is another that is slow and hath need of help.
Those are the poor in spirit. The poor in spirit need help. They can't just catch on to the information. A lot of us need a physical, living, breathing example of how to change before we change. Why do we as camp members and leaders always say it's always about example, example, example,
Show.
example,
Demonstrate.
example? Because that's how you teach people. That's the greatest way to teach. How many of y'all can just sit back and hear it one time and you got it? No, you can't. Most of us need to see it every day. They need to see it every day to learn and see it every day to do it. Because if you didn't have a person right next to you, you wouldn't even do it. If you didn't have a person calling you, you know they was going to get pushed, you wouldn't do it. So when it says the poor in spirit are the ones that are slow and of need of help. Read on.
Wanting ability.
They want to grow. They want to change, but they're lacking it. They're lacking all the well-rounded attributes needed to accomplish the things they want. Christ is looking for those guys. And he's looking for us to develop those guys. So this is not about Israel not want to help, not want to do good to people, Israel being selfish and stingy. No, we're supposed to learn who to focus our mind on, who to dedicate our lives to, who to readjust our intentions on. Does that make sense? Read verse 12 again.
Down at the top of verse 12. Again, there is another that is slow and hath need of help, wanting ability, and full of poverty.
Full of needs, full of holes, full of schisms, full of issues that need to be addressed. Read on.
Yet the eye of the Lord looked upon him for good.
Just like what Christ said, that blessed are the poor in spirit because they're getting the kingdom. The one that's slow and is wanting an ability, he looks upon them for good. As long as you're humble. And this is who we're looking for. This is who we commit our life to. The sick who are humble enough to get taught. The lacking who are humble enough to get developed and built up. That's who Christ is teaching us to identify and work with on a daily basis. Those are our responsibilities. Read on.
Those are the ones that are sighing and crying, right?
Those are the ones that Christ said, I want you to give your life to them and serve them. Because I'm going to give them the kingdom. But he uses his students and teachers to help get them to the kingdom. Read verse 12 again from the top.
Come, verse 12. Again, there is another that is slow and hath need of help, wanting ability, and full of poverty. Yet the eye of the Lord looked upon him for good, and set him up from his low estate.
How does he help set us up from our low estate? By giving us teachers and guides and leaders to help build us up with the scriptures. And to help sit back here and build our spiritual foundation up. So he shows love to the sick by sending teachers to the sick. So yes, we're supposed to give to the godly man who's trying to change. It's not about how quick you are or how sharp you are. Are you if you're lacking, are you willing to get fixed? Are you humble enough to follow? Those are the ones the Most High has commissioned us to commit ourselves to. Not to somebody that just says they want something and we got to accommodate what they want. Because if you really want to change, how are you going to dictate to me what you want and what you need to get yourself on your feet? You're sick. How is a sick person going to sit back here? A sick person goes to a doctor to get what? A proper diagnosis.
That's true.
You're not going to get healed without a proper diagnosis.
Yeah, like you said, evaluation.
Huh. That's why when you sit back and go to the doctor or the chiropractor, they give this long list of questions.
Yeah.
Do you have blood pressure? You have a history of this. You have a history of drug use. They go through all these things. They got to get to know you.
That's true.
Before they give you what you need to feed your spirit or to fix your physical condition. Same thing for us. We got to get to know you to know what you need to get yourself back on your foot, on your feet. So it's not just about just giving you some bread. It's because you asked for some bread. Because when you give a person some money for bread, guess what they're going to do? They're going to come back in a month. I need some more bread. I don't have no more money. I'm broke. Get out of here, man. Listen, man, let's go figure out what the issue is. A lot of our people are like that. Our job is to sit back here and find out through the scriptures, he does love the poor in spirit. When you connect to Ecclesiastes, the poor in spirit are trying to change. They're wanting an ability, but they're lacking. There's poverty in their spirit. The poverty is financial and spiritual. That's who we're looking for. That's what we're looking to work on and commit our lives to. So Now we're going to go real quick to Isaiah 61 and verse 1 and 2.
Isaiah chapter 61.
Let me
And
get,
verse-
it's 61, yes, sir.
Verse 2.
Let me, no, it's 61 verse 1
1 and 2.
and 2. And let me just type this other part in, sir, then we got it. 21. Okay, let me get this. Isaiah 61 and 1. Let's read it, sir.
Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 1 reads, "The Spirit of the Lord power is upon me."
This is Isaiah talking about a prophecy about Christ. Okay, so the Spirit of the Lord is on him. Read on.
"Because the Lord have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek."
Listen, this is Christ. The Most High anointed Christ to preach good tidings to the meek. And you sit back here and you go into one of the definitions of the meek in this scenario. Okay, when you go to 61, I forgot what they call this Bible. The Eastward. This is the Eastward. Okay. When you go to 61 and you go into the Christ was anointed to preach good tidings to the meek are, and this one is depressed in the mind or circumstances. So Christ said, Christ was anointed and came down on earth to teach good tidings, solutions to a depressed mind, solutions to a person whose conditions are the circumstances are depressed. Situation is depressed. Yes, sir?
That's meek?
Meek.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So it said meek is depressed in the mind or their circumstances. So Christ came down to commit them himself to people who were going through changes and needed answers. The only difference is the ones Christ came for didn't have pride. So there are poor people who have pride that you can't help, and there's poor people who have depressed situations, depressed in their mind and circumstances, and are humble. Christ came to deal with those people. Because if you got to put this whole Bible together in its totality. Yeah, you're not supposed to give to the sinner. You got to give to the godly man. Give to the people who are going through things but want to change. Not to any person with a hustle. We know the scripture said Jacob is a what? A supplanter by nature. So don't take care of the supplanter. Take care of the individual who needs the assistance, who actually needs the development, who actually will allow you to work on their spirit and build them from the ground up. When is throwing a couple bucks in a situation ever fix anything? Never. You sit back here and pay one bill, guess what next week is? It's another damn bill the next month. The bills keep popping. So what men do, they'll just sit back here. They'll have 5 resources to get bread. So I'm going to run this resources month 1, and I'll come back around you month 5 to get to re-up on the bread again. That's what Israel thinks. Never realizing what's the real damn problem. The real problem is me. I keep making decisions to put me in bad circumstances. That's why Christ wants a humble person. Because a humble person would allow, a humble young person would allow somebody to teach them about why they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. This is what the Most High can't stand. A poor man that's proud. Because a proud person won't let nobody teach him to get them out of their rut. So, the prophecy in Isaiah 61 was for Christ to sit back here and preach good tidings, good solutions, ways to pick a person's spirit up that's going through hard times and that needs answers. The answer is, listen, Christ came to give you salvation. But in other scriptures, Christ came to give you the knowledge of salvation.
Yeah.
It's the knowledge of salvation. Yep. Can we go to that verse?
Yep.
The knowledge of salvation is really the answer. People want, all your church folks want to, we're saved by the blood of the Lamb. But he gave you the knowledge of salvation.
Luke, 1 and 77 of Luke.
There we go.
Israel wants to bend words out. They want to bend words to their benefit.
Well, yeah, and the sick want listen. The sick wants to be sick and hustle on people's kind endeavors and kind hearts.
Yep.
Luke chapter 1, verse 77.
Read that.
To give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins.
So he says, if you want to sit back here and get salvation, the way that you get salvation is to change your sins, change your habits. And Most High is going to send you teachers to help you fix your habits so you can attain salvation. So Christ came down to give the sick and the depressed and people in depressed circumstances the knowledge of salvation. And that knowledge entailed what you have to fix inside of you, what you have to repent inside of yourself to obtain the salvation that Christ promised you. Does that make sense? So this is why the humble person that's in a difficult situation will get the opportunity to get elevated. And the person that's proud and don't want to listen, they're going to stay in their wretched condition in perpetuity. Now, let's continue to go in Isaiah.
Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 1 read.
From the top, yes, sir.
The Spirit of the Lord power is upon me, because the Lord have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the Salakia. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted.
He says Christ had to come down to bind up the brokenhearted, to bind up the hearts of the brokenhearted, the people who've tried to do right, people who've got exploited, taken advantage of in the world, used and abused in the world, and after all the abuse, they're still willing to follow. The sad thing is there's a lot of people who've been brokenhearted, used and abused, but don't want to serve no more, don't want to follow no more, and don't want to be humble anymore. Most High can't stand even how they operate. He's coming for the person who's brokenhearted, who's been let down, who the world has hurt, but they're still salvageable. They're still willing to change. They're still willing to fight. Christ came for those people. Somebody had a hand up. What is it? Listen, that's what we've been into the whole 30 minutes of class, bro. You gotta. It's in class. The whole thing that you're asking for, Kariah, we went into it for an hour. Okay, you gotta go back in the beginning of it. So let's continue. I have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Read on.
To proclaim the liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to them.
It says proclaim liberty to the captives. It's a person that's sitting here and I cannot get past the situation. It don't mean you're physically in jail. Maybe when he comes back, if we're physically in jail. But the captives, they have a situation they can't get out of. They're in a hole they can't climb out of. So he's trying to give you an olive branch, or he's trying to throw you a rope, or give you a buoy, or give you a helping hand to pull you out that impossible scenario that only he can pull you out of. But you got to do it his way.
Okay? And that's the challenge. He's looking for the people that are trying to change and lack the understanding and ability to change. And that's Christ had to be that living example first. And we're supposed to follow his example on earth now. Okay? He's telling you, this is what Esau says, this is Christ's what? Mission statement. His mission statement is to come down and help these brokenhearted people, the meek and the sick, the ones who want to change, and help rebuild them and give them the knowledge of salvation. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. What's that?
And brokenhearted technically means broken-minded.
Yeah.
People think brokenhearted means I'm just sad and, you know,
Heartbreak Hotel.
I'm the victim because I feel bad right now. You're supposed to do this for me because I feel bad.
Yep.
No, it means that your thoughts and your mind and your cognition, how you put your thoughts together, and your wisdom doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can acknowledge that my way of doing things does not work. And because my thinking does not properly get the result that I'm looking for, Now I am willing to follow a different path or a different method.
All facts. Somebody a hand up? Okay, let's continue.
To proclaim the liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
Listen, also the liberty of the captives is the mental freedom.
Yeah.
That teaches you how to get out of the prison of your mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's continue.
To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our power to comfort all that mourn.
But this is talking about a mourning spirit that's still humble and pliable. This is even when you sit back and read in the book of Ezekiel 9, the angel was told to sit back and only look for the people who sighed and cried for the abominations. Those are the ones the angel was supposed to look for, and everybody else is going to get wiped out. The ones that want to change might not have what it takes to change inside of them. Those are the ones you focus your spirit on. But the ones that are still manageable and humble enough to get worked on. And not everybody is ready for that. And that's why that's what you're looking for when you're giving to your brother. When you're looking for people to teach and recruit. You can teach everybody. But the ones you sit back and invest a lot of your time in, he's telling you who to invest your time in. You can give literature out and teach and help this person on a light level. Help everybody out. All you people out. When it comes to really sitting back here and counseling and pouring your spirit, they got to want this. They got to have a desire to learn. Anyway, so let that go and now jump to...
I got to reiterate the point. So you're saying, make sure we get this. It's supposed, a part of that impoverished person, the requirement is they have to have a desire to learn?
Yeah. Done. And they got to be, because they have to be humble enough to be developed. You know, sit back here, and I know we all have, especially when you're young and you're zealous to teach people. Have you ever talked to somebody that needs to change, but they're just not ready to?
Yeah.
And they got too much of an opinion in them to actually receive what you can give them? You ever come to somebody and they're just so defensive and they won't let you in at all? What can you do to a person that's defensive that doesn't let you help them? You gonna just argue with them every night? How come they don't want to change?
Nope.
You got to give them space. You got to give them space until they fall and they you know what. And then maybe they'll be ready to sit back and listen to you. What good is arguing with a person every damn day long? That don't change anything.
Can't force nobody.
You can't force anybody to change and serve the Lord. Okay, we're going to let this go now. We're going to go into the fulfillment of this prophecy of Isaiah 61 in Luke. So it's Luke chapter 4 and verse 17 through 21.
Luke 17.
No, Luke 4 and verse 17 through 21. Luke 4, verse 17 through 21.
Luke chapter 4, verse 21. 17. Right.
Come on, let's get it.
And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah.
Which is Isaiah. Read on.
And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised.
This sounds great.
So that's what it is.
This
it is great.
This is what we want to hear.
This is what we're supposed to sit back here and recover the sight of the blind.
It's beautiful, bro.
And to set at liberty them that are bruised. That is what Christ came to do. But he's doing it for the people that are humble enough to look at what Christ is doing as recovering their sight versus judging them. A powerful person will say, you're judging me. A humble person is, you're helping me get my sight back.
Yes.
There's a difference to the individual that you're giving it to. You can tell that what caliber a person is by if they receive the message you're bringing to the table. That's why the most Christ said, listen, after the second or third admonition, if they're not listening,
Reject.
wipe the dust off your feet and move on. Because unless they're not humble enough, they might be poor, but they're not humble enough to receive what you're bringing to the table. That he's showing us there's a checklist of what you should be conscious of when you're engaging your people. You teach, you give counsel, or are they trying to sit back here and reveal what they're to let you help them fix what the blindness is? If that's not what they want to do, then you know what? You're limited in your scope of help. Then all this is a knowledge play.
Yep.
Then I'm going to give you some knowledge and let you eat on that. There's a lot of Israel that just wants to sit back here and be coffee house Israelites.
Yep.
I've met a lot of coffee house Israelites out.
And what is that in particular?
Coffee house Israelites is the guy that wants to philosophize with you. He wants to talk about the Muslims. He wants to talk about the Moors. Nigga, Moor ain't no nation. Moor is a color. The Moors was a great nation. Moor is an old English term for nigger. That's what Moor is. There, I said it. Ain't no nation. Moor is your black guy. It's not a nation of people.
The black guys.
What are you talking about?
Greece.
Then you got guys, you start talking, then there's a knowledge, then there's debates, then there's knowledge debates.
What do you know about this? Do you know about?
Then we go back to Egypt. Then we always go back to Egypt.
Do you know about the Shepherd Kings, brother?
Then there's the Egypt, it's the Hyksos, it's the Egyptians, it's the knowledge of Set, all this lame stuff. Get out of here, man. You're not the person to talk to. Let's go to the person who's going through problems, who's brokenhearted, that wants to get helped.
Waste energy.
Those are the ones you're supposed to zero in on. Not the people that just want to take from you and go and do their thing.
They want to get their little argument fixed.
It's the argument fix or the money or the guy that will agree to you just to get the money. Because there's guys, they'll sit back and listen to a whole class to get something out to deal out the class. I've seen that a bunch of times too. I'll sit back and go to class for 2 days to get a spot in the brother's house. Ain't enough. Anyway, bro, this is what the scripture, this is not a war's personal opinion. We're supposed to help the sick. Help the sick who even acknowledge that they're sick. Help the blind who acknowledge they're blind. So you can sit back and bring it to light. Anyway, let's go and continue with Luke.
Luke chapter 4 and verse 19. To preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And he closed the book, and he gave it again to the minister, and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say unto them, this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears.
So listen, this was the day he fulfilled that prophecy. But we're supposed to sit back here and follow Christ's what? Example. So we are supposed to sit back here and dedicate our life to the poor in spirit. Just like Christ did. Christ spent most of his times in the what? With the publicans and sinners. What do you think we're supposed to be? We're supposed to be with the publicans and sinners who want to change. Not the publicans and sinners that don't want to change and got pride. Or got ulterior motives. You got to be with the sick who know they're sick, who want to change. And simplify our quest for students. Don't make this deep. I've seen brothers and sisters put all this time into people that don't appreciate shit. I've seen sisters hang out with sisters that they come to class one time. You know you're in a trick bag when you're over their house more than they're over at the house of the Lord's. You ever see those kind of guys? You're always at their house begging them to come to class. Hey, why I gotta keep begging you to come to class? I'm always at your house. Why can't you make a baby sacrifice and come and get the Lord, word of the Lord on your own? You can't just come down the street. There have been brothers I've known, they want their own personal Bible teacher at the house. The personal priest. Come to my house and teach me. Dude, get off your ass and come into school. You can't cut YouTube on? Like how you can't watch Tubi? You can't cut on Tubi? It was so funny when he said that. You can't watch YouTube on? You can't do nothing? Anyway, let's continue out. Did we finish Luke? We finished Luke. Let's go to Matthew 10, verse 7 and 8.
This is a good message.
Matthew
Well,
Because you know what it's
10,
gonna do? It's the zero's different. It's gonna save you time.
Kind of.
I ain't lie. I put a lot of time in cats that didn't want it. I can't lie. Man, I was trying to hit this bro so many years. I'm like, man, I'm gonna hit this bro. I'm gonna hit this bro. I'm like, man. I had one day to finally come to his house and teach him, right? And then is there one time I had a chance to do that? And then I went to his crib out. We tried to talk out. He wanted to talk about UFOs, so I'm trying to go to UFO class, but they ain't changed his mind. I said, I put a lot of work just to get you here, bro. Just
Yeah.
to get to this point to teach you. And now you don't want to hear it? Change your mind?
Bro, Israel is fickle. These are facts. Israel is very fickle, man. And that's okay.
I'm not wrong with it, but
So listen, let's do this. Matthew, let's get 10 verse 6 through 8.
school's right there.
Now listen, there's more to this class. Just be patient, y'all. We just got to the first 5 or 6 verses. There's more dimensions to this, so just give us some time. Let's continue. Matthew 10 and 6 through 8.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
We're supposed to teach Israel and let them know that the kingdom's coming. Read on.
Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give.
We're still supposed to give for free. This is not about somebody owing you something. It's not about that. You're supposed to give for free. You're supposed to heal the sick. You're supposed to cleanse the leper. You're supposed to do all that work just for people who are trying to change and are willing to allow you to help make them unsick. That's such an important point. Okay. I'm going to let this go. And let's go to Matthew 13, verse 13 through 15. Matthew 13, verse 13 through 15.
Matthew chapter 13 and verse 13.
Did I say Matthew? Salakia. It's John. That was a
First
mistake.
John?
John.
St. John.
Yeah, because it's not First John. It's John. Yeah, because there's no
Slack.
there's no 13 in First John. All right, let's do this. John 13.
John chapter 13 and verse 13. Ye call me master and Lord, and ye say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you.
All he's letting you know is he sat back here and gave his life to help the sick out. And washing the prophet's feet and the apostles' feet was an example of him sitting out here and bowing down and adjusting to the needs of the people. That's what we're supposed to do. But in the process of us serving the body, you have to serve the body the right way, and you have to serve people that are trying to change. This is not about perfection. This is not about skill. This is about, are we humble enough to commit ourselves to people who are trying? Okay? So, now we're going to start going into the aspect of, once you're committing to people that are trying, there is still a humbling process to this. Okay? Now, let's go real quick to Psalms 37 and 4. Now we're going to it's going to take a different path now with this class. I didn't think the class was going to take so long to get to this point, but that's okay. Psalms 37 and 4.
Look, I wish I had the class a long time ago. You could have saved my day. Huh?
Yeah. Save months.
Saved months of my life. Huh?
Psalms 37 and verse 4.
Because you know what? A lot of us get disappointed when people let us
And
down.
then we stop teaching.
Because listen, I ain't lie. I was like, man, listen, bro, I don't know why I'm even doing all this. Right?
Yeah.
I-
Nobody's listening.
I'm like, bro, I'm teaching the Bible just to people that don't want to hear the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going in, I'm teaching, I'm dropping scriptures, I'm pulling precepts, and I'm doing everything. I'm so happy to teach you, brother. And I don't really appreciate it. I don't really want it.
Yeah.
Like, well, why are we doing so much work to teach spirits that don't want to hear it?
We got to hone in to the people who are trying.
Come on.
And it makes it worth it. And you get something out of it. You get spiritual from out of it when you give to somebody and they're listening. At least they're trying.
There's a fatigue that comes. This class is essential for those that are. There's the do-gooders, and I was a do-gooder. then there's the people that you gotta give based on what the scripture says.
Have you ever
Do
counseled
good.
somebody
Yeah.
that's so obstinate, nothing you say sticks? Have you ever encountered somebody like that, where you're counseling and teaching and nothing you say is sticking? And then if you have encountered that, how exhausting is that? How fatiguing and draining. You're just talking to a brick wall and you're not getting anything back spiritual. And then on the contrary, when you are counseling somebody and they are listening, isn't there a fulfillment
It's
there?
refreshing, bro.
When you're sitting back here and teaching and at least some of it's sticking, it makes all this sacrifice worth it. So that's what we should be gathering our mind to. So we're going to sit back here and go into Psalms 37 and 4 to kind of shed light on how this commitment to the poor, how it looks in real life. Read this.
Psalms 37 and 4. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart.
That verse can be very tricky when you read it. Delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart. And the question is this: do we really get the desires of your heart?
Everybody loves this scripture.
When you sit back here and you delight yourself in the Lord, do you really get the desires of your heart? Do you really get what you want all the time?
This will give everybody like 3 years in the truth. This scripture right here.
We'll give brother
get
3 years in the truth.
That's the 3-year scripture right there. Brother will fight for 3 years straight out.
Listen,
that scripture
he's not
was
even joking. That's the truth. But what we're going to read here, read it again. When you delight yourself in the Lord,
Yeah.
the Lord shall give thee the desires of thy heart. You listen, think about what you really want out the deal, and put that in this verse, and that's what gives people 3 years of fight. What is it that your flesh wants out the deal? And in your head, you'll use what you want in the flesh to keep you pushing for 3 years.
I get up there.
But what we're going to do is find out what this really means, Bible terms. So the next verse we're going to go to is Psalms chapter 10, verse 17 through 18. This will give you the answer to this question. What's the desire? Listen, if you delight yourself in the Lord, what will be the desires of a man's heart?
10 and what, 13?
10 and 17.
10 and 17.
Psalms 10, verse 17 and 18.
Psalms 10, verse 17. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble.
He says, now, we just read in Psalms 37 and 4. Read that. Who has that verse? Who had that verse again? Read it for me real quick.
God says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine
So when you
heart.
delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. Read it again, Johanna.
God. Psalms 10, 17. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble.
So the desire of the humble is also the desire of the individual who seeks the Lord. Right? Read on.
Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear.
So he says, the Most High is going to prepare your mind. So the ones that are giving your heart to the Lord, he's going to start preparing your thinking and readjusting what's valuable in your life.
What does that mean?
Readjusting what's the most important. If you've trusted in the Lord and you give yourself to the Lord, he's going to start preparing your heart. He's going to start to prepare your heart is to start teaching you what's really valuable and what's really insignificant.
Yeah.
Because if you're really trusting in the Lord, then you start accepting what's important. And you start letting go of the things that really don't matter anymore.
So he's going to restructure your thoughts.
Based upon how much you give to him.
Your hierarchy
He'll start restructuring your hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're growing when the things you used to want don't mean as much anymore. Right? The things that you used to want don't really matter. That means the Most High is working on your thinking. When your value system and your little Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top 5 list starts changing up.
Yeah. The structure of it.
The structure of it starts changing. Now you know you're growing. Now let's continue. And he says,
Psalm
now
10.
will cause thy ear thou. Yeah. No, read it from the top. 17.
God. Psalm 10, 17. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble, Thou wilt prepare
Of the humble.
But see, the humble,
Key point.
but the humble are the ones who are seeking the Lord, that trust in the Lord. We just read it in Psalms 37. He's giving more clarity to what we just read in Psalms 37.
Not the poor man is proud, but the poor man is humble.
But he, yes, and the person that's really pursuing the Lord, he's humble, and that person, he's going to start changing their thinking. But continue.
Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear.
So now the Most High is going to start causing your ear to start hearing. What is your ear going to be hearing? Hold this and go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, verse 4 and 8. We're going to start figuring out what are we hearing? What is it? The more you cleave to the Father, what are you hearing now? What's easy to hear? What's easy to understand? Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 8.
Give it to me. Come on.
Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor.
There you go. The more you're growing in Christ, it's not going to be grievous to listen to the poor. It's not going to be grievous to condescend to the sick. It's not going to be a burden to listen to the ups and downs and the flaws of the men around you. That's a part of how you know you're growing. You're growing this word when dealing with the same old shenanigans in the camp don't bug you no more.
Hey, can I say this?
Dealing with the repetitive issues that men have in themselves isn't a burden.
Don't drain me. But let's this point real quick with what you're saying. So, you come in needy, and the first goal we have for men is for a man to become spiritually self-sustained. And what does spiritual self-sustained means? You can brush your teeth, wash your face, get to work on time.
Survive inspection.
You can pass inspection. You can go to work without the man over you critiquing your labor and saying your labor is poor. Right? Your labor starts to become, you have skillful labor, so you can maintain and manage yourself, but you can't maintain and manage another man's spirit yet. The goal is to get you in the position where you can maintain you and another man. That's growth. I couldn't maintain myself. Now I can maintain myself mentally and spiritually. Now I can maintain myself mentally and spiritually. Now I'm prepared to hear the poor, which is the man next to me that lacks next to me. Doesn't drain me or destroy me to deal with his issues and solve his problems. I can give the solutions that I used to get myself in order. I can give those same solutions and help this person to put their life in order on a smaller level.
So you good?
Yeah.
So this is where we're at. Read Psalms, the end of chapter 10, verse 17, and still hold your verse, okay?
God, Psalms 10 and 17, latter portion. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge.
So listen, he says that person who desires the Lord. Matter of fact, you read yours, I'm going to tie it back in still. Psalms 37 and 4.
Psalms 37 and 4. Delight thyself also in the Lord.
So in the people who delight themselves in the Lord, read on.
And he shall give thee the desires of thine heart.
He's going to give you what you really want inside. But the issue is, read verse 17 of Psalms.
Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou would prepare their heart.
So what happens is, he starts changing what you want. The more you cleave to him, the desires of your heart are no longer yours. That's how you know you're growing. When the things that you came in, those things don't matter anymore. Now he's changing your heart. He's changing what matters to you. He changes now why you get up in the morning. That's now changed. He's changing what's inside of you. Then read the last sentence of verse 17.
Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear.
So now he's going to make you more in tune to what the sick need, to what the poor need. Because in order to sit back here for a man to learn what's really important, you got to dive into the sick and what they need. The more you get to what the body needs, you realize the things you want really don't matter that much. Read yours in Ecclesiastes.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 8. Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor.
The more you bow down your ear to the poor, the more you commit yourself to the work, the more you realize that's more important than what you're angry about at night. The more you realize that I'm giving myself to this brother that I'm working with on the truck, or these men I'm responsible for at the moves, what they need is more important than what I'm struggling with in my mind. And when a person starts sitting back here and stops fighting how grievous it can be dealing with the poor, then you grow. Then what matters to you changes. Your motivation starts to change. Your reason for getting up in the morning starts to change. He's letting you know through the Apocrypha that for a lot of men, bowing your ear down to the poor is grievous.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're a young man. You know you're a babe when bowing down to the young man and counseling the body is aggravating. It's inconvenient. You get tired of it. You know you're immature. When you get to the point where counseling the young men and being there for the body is no longer a burden, it's also letting you know that your list of priorities are changing. And he's working on your mind. Scripture says, commit thy what to the Lord, and thy thoughts will follow. So when you commit your works to the poor, your mind is going to start changing. Your motivations are going to change. What matters to you is going to change. Now, let that go in verse, and I'll keep going in verse 8 of Ecclesiastes.
4 and 8, Ecclesiastes. Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor, and give him a friendly answer with meekness.
So he's like, what it also means is, dealing with the poor can't grieve you, and your answer to the poor man's folly has to be meekness. And meekness is to endure injury without what? I got to get to the point that I deal with the young man's folly, and I don't lash back at folly. And sometimes Wednesdays be like 100 degrees outside, and you're frustrated. You deal with this folly all around you.
Yes, folly.
There's folly all around you. It's like the Three Stooges sometimes at the job out. You got to sit back here and suck it up and not take it out on them. And that's how you know you've grown. And that's how you realize you're starting to overcome those spiritual impediments that keep you from growing.
Folly, a weak or absurd act.
And we see that every day at the zone.
Why are you doing
We see absurd acts all the time.
Why are you doing
Do we not do that? Do we not see absurdity at the zones?
This is absurd.
Deliveries and moves?
Yeah.
What he's telling us through the midst of work is how we start to learn to get past the folly. But let that go and go back to Psalms 10 and 18 now. Read 17 and 18. We're going to read it from the top.
Come on.
17 and 18.
Psalms 10, verse 17. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their hearts.
So you know what? The desires of your heart changes when you're humble, and it's about serving the Lord and dealing with his people.
That priority supersedes my personal ambitions or my personal directives.
Because you realize what it's all about is dealing with the poor. This is why I don't feel any shame about saying give to the godly man, because we give to the poor every day.
Yeah.
We give to the sick every day. But let's continue.
Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear.
Verse 18 is going to tell you what the new focus is.
Yeah.
And what's the new desire of your heart. The new desire of a humble man's heart is what? Read verse 18.
To judge the fatherless and the oppressed.
So read it from the top so we can run down smoothly.
Yeah.
Because I kind of changed it up in the middle to kind of bring out something about listening to the poor. But read it from 17 and 18 so we can read it in totality.
Because you said bruised. You said he came to save the bruised.
Yes.
He came to save those that couldn't help
That
themselves.
are injured, yes. But he's still telling you, what we just read in Psalms 37,
Yeah.
that the Most High, if you love the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. But what are those desires now? Read 17 and 18.
Psalms 10 and 17. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble.
We're still dealing with those desires of the humble. The desires of the humble man that follows the Lord. Read on.
Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear.
We're still dealing with the desires of the humble man that's pursuing the Lord. What are his desires going to be? Read on.
To judge the fatherless and the oppressed.
Listen, the humble man, the person that's serving God, his main focus is to sit back and judge the fatherless the right way. and the oppressed the right way. So he's going to give you the desires of your heart, like we read in Psalms 37 and 4. But those desires of your heart is to make sure that the fatherless and the oppressed are judged properly, are developed the right way. That's where the focus is. When you're in the right spirit, the only thing that matters is that the men are taken care of.
That's where you're happy.
The men are counseled.
That's where you're set. You're set because there's two.
That's the desires of your heart.
There's two like sets of satisfactions. That my flesh and my ego was satisfied and nourished.
Or my personal goals were achieved.
Yeah.
Or were the fatherless judged properly? The fatherless are the brothers who didn't have fathers that developed them. Most of the brothers that come in this truth didn't have parents that developed them properly.
Come.
Right? Half of what we're dealing with is fatherless children. That's our job. That's our responsibility, is to teach and develop fatherless children. Either the fathers were not there, or the fathers didn't have the necessary knowledge on how to develop their children. That's our job. So he says, the desires of a man's heart, the Most High will give you the desires of your heart. If you serve him, he'll change your heart so that your desire will be to the fatherless.
What?
Does that make sense? That means if you're still wrestling with what you want out to do in your life and you're angry about what you don't have or what you lost, that really means you haven't given your heart to the Lord. Because if you've given your heart to the Lord, the desires of your heart is going to be, are the fatherless taken care of? Did I do right by these young spirits? Are they getting worked on every single day? Are the oppressed getting looked after? That's how you know you're in the right mind frame. Read verse 18 again.
To judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the men of the earth may no more oppress.
So listen, that's what your desires of a man's heart is when they're in line with the Lord. Because that's what you're going to keep reading about from the Old to the New Testament, how the Most High is constantly looking at how we treat the poor, how we treat the people that have been taken advantage of, how we treat the people who have gone through challenges. That is what he's developing us to do, because that's what Christ's life was all about. We just read it in Isaiah 61. His life was about going to the sick who need the attention, who need the development.
Specific.
That's what it is. So if you're growing, if you're cleaving, your desire is going to be the same desires Most High Christ got. It's to find joy in rehabilitating the people. Okay. Let those 3 verses go and go to Ecclesiastes 4, verse 1 through 10. I jumped to verse 8, but let's go through the entire 1 through 10 real quick. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 1 through 10. No.
John, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 1. My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes
They was
to
about
wait
to
long.
defraud.
So it says defraud, which means to cheat. I am not supposed to cheat the poor his living.
Mm-hmm.
What does that really mean? Giving the person the necessary information so they can sustain themselves.
Kind.
If I see you have an issue, this is the problem with counsels. You see a brother has an issue, and it's affecting his living. But if you tell him, "Hey, I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you what you're doing. This is not helping you.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is not serving you. It's a detriment to your household and yourself." If we give a man an answer, he may get offended. But you're in a poor state because you lack a certain level of information. So consequently, we have to take a couple javelins and a couple arrows trying to help you.
Kind.
You know?
Listen, this verse goes with, if you're in a position to pay men,
Yeah.
don't sit back here and keep them waiting long. If they're in a position of need, especially the ones who are trying to live right.
Come.
Don't put them in situations to where their house is going to collapse waiting on you.
Yep.
Okay? Read on.
God, my son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long.
Read on.
Make not an hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress.
Mm-hmm.
Add no more trouble to an heart that is vexed,
Kind.
and defer not to give to him that is in need.
So listen, we're supposed to sit back and give to the people that are vexed and in need if they're trying to change. if they're about serving the Lord and attempting to serve the Lord, no doubt you sit back here and try to relieve these vexed souls. But what's the best way to relieve a vexed soul but to counsel and deal with their spirit? We've sat back here and give brothers maybe some hotel money for a day or two, some money here and there. But the long-term solution ain't just constantly being this money tree. The long-term solution is, why are you vexed? What are you going through in your life that you need help in to help build you up? That's what Israel needs more than some cash. Let's continue.
Verse 4. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted.
Don't reject the need of the afflicted. A lot of times, a men need your counsel, your advice, your ear, your time. Listen, what vexes young men the most about counseling? And that there's no time for themselves. Exactly. That's what vexes men. I got no time to do me. I had a hot day tonight. And I get a damn call at 10 p.m. I was getting dressed. You know what's about to go down now? I had that. Okay, this call, and you know this call is going to be tops, at the lowest, an hour and a half. 2 hours.
The dish counsel. Counsel about dishes.
And then you sit back here, you pace on the phone. You pace it for 30 minutes. You got ants in your pants for 30 minutes because you're hoping that this thing might be done in 30 minutes. And you realize, man, it's 45 minutes, huh? Right, this is not going anywhere. I had plans.
Just wash the dish, huh? Just wash it.
It's not less deeper than rap. A what? It's deeper than a dish. You're like, oh, okay. What then how deep is it?
I'm so upset.
Listen, I get with dealing with it. First of all, there's nothing wrong with the dishes. The both side does that to all of us to say it's not about what you want to do.
Yep.
Just sit down and put them old man sweats back on. Put the old man sweats on. Put your council sweats on and your flip-flops. Put your slippers on and get ready, G.
That's true.
And get ready to counsel.
Lose your night. Your night is done.
Or drive to the house and deal with the problem at the house. Go do that party. Go do that.
That's 2:30.
That's 2:30.
That's a 2:30 guarantee.
Kinda. That's the council 2:30. That's not the party 2:30. That's council till 2:30. Because what happens is you'll counsel till 1 over here, then another person will counsel you another hour.
Yeah, that's what I say 2 hours.
Yeah. There you go.
People left dishes at my. He left this last week. He was thinking about. I'm like, oh my god, I'm a dish inspector.
Yeah. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh my God.
And the quicker that you learn to accept that those pulls are going to always happen, and that your life happens after Dishgate's over, it doesn't matter how long Dishgate's going to be. We can go from Dishgate to Tuna Gate.
Yeah,
because it goes in all kind of crazy.
My food was
here. It doesn't matter.
My food was
Somebody
here.
stole my chicken.
Who did it? Who done it?
Then we got to sit there and do an hour about who took the chicken out.
Who got the hot sauce? Who took the chicken?
We've had counsels about hot sauce. I'm not even lying. Who took the hot sauce?
Nobody knows.
Nobody. It's like an hour before somebody even talks about where this thing possibly might have been at.
Well, with my room, took my hot sauce and didn't admit to it. I don't know if I'm going to be brother anymore. I don't know if I can be an Israelite anymore. I don't know what to say.
This is the truth. This is a true story. This is a true story. Listen, not every counsel is about like life and death stuff.
No.
But you know, the crazy thing, the Most High is judging us on these things. And do you have the patience and mercy to deal with this? And do you love that? And can you learn to understand that that is more valuable than anything else? Because I'm going to tell you this. People want to make it about the glories in the teaching, the glories in the classes, the glories about whatever type of views you might get online. The glory is in after class, the counseling after class. That's where the work is. Because if you're doing your job the right way, then the counsels after class is what's meaningful, is what helps families, is what helps brothers and sisters. The classes just open the door up to get people the confidence to speak about what's going on with them. If the class is touching the individual the right way. The work is in what you do off the camera. And how much sleep you're willing to lose so that the others can go to sleep and be rested and be at peace with their condition. That's the power of Christ. It's in your servitude. But we're going to sit back here and burn the midnight oil. If we're going to lose sleep, if we're going to be exhausted, let's do it to people that actually want to change. And people who actually are willing to appreciate and value your counsel. And will appreciate you losing your sleep till 2 or 3 o'clock for their sake. But scripturally, I'm not supposed to go to war with somebody who don't listen and don't value nothing. Didn't the scripture say, cast not your pearls before what?
Wow.
That's the point. Because you sit back here and drop a damn pearl in a pig pen, they're going to look at that pearl as some poop.
Okay.
It's no different. We're supposed to give ourselves to people who actually appreciate what you're bringing to the table. Anyway. So, let's continue in Ecclesiastes 4.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 4. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man.
Mm-hmm.
Turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee.
The ones that are trying to live right, not the hustlers trying to take advantage of the fact that you're a good-hearted person. Not those. Read on.
Verse 6.
Because we know those prayers are an abomination. So the praise of the wicked is an abomination.
And it tells in Ecclesiastes 12, giving those cats, you're bringing a curse to yourself too. Well, it's good.
Yeah. Because you're enabling their sickness.
That's the point.
You're not letting the Most High teach them a lesson.
Exactly. So let's continue.
Verse 6. For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him.
The godly man that curses you in the bitterness of his soul, Most High hears that. The sinner that curses you, this is another guy that's going to curse you. You can't worry about that. Just can't worry about that. Just can't worry about it.
Take a note.
Take the thumbs down. Who cares? Let's keep going.
God, get thyself the love of the congregation,
Mm-hmm.
and bow thy head to a great man.
So the thing is this. Verse 7 says, get the love of the congregation. That means you have to have the ability to submit to the poor, love the sick, love your brothers, and you got to bow your head to the great man. You got to serve on both ends.
To double servant.
A lot of people don't mind bowing themselves to great men, but don't want to sit back here and serve the congregation. And other people, they're okay with serving the congregation, but they're not bowing their head to the powers that be. You have to be able to serve on both fronts. And a lot of us lack the ability to serve on both fronts.
Who are the powers that be for
Listen, that could be camp leaders or even Esau. You still got to sit back and Most High tells you, Christ said, listen, whose inscription is this? He said, render unto Caesar what's Caesar's. Obey and do what the hell you're told.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Lock into the principalities that be. Because the Most High ordained these principalities to be over you.
So stop arguing with cops.
Stop arguing with cops. Stop arguing with paying your bills and your responsibilities. Pay your taxes. Render unto Caesar what's Caesar's. Pay your taxes. Pay your bills. Accept the system you're in. Tap into the system that you're in. Serve the men over you in your camp. And serve the body. Serve across the board. Read on.
God, verse 8. Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor.
Exactly. Don't let it bother you to keep dealing with the 6 problems. That's what we are called to do. Read on.
And give him a friendly answer with meekness.
Listen, why does he say give you a friendly answer? Because what do you want to give him? What answer do you want to give him? If the scripture says give him a friendly answer, when you're dealing with the sick, when you're dealing with the fatherless child ain't used to taking correction.
Can't take a check.
The fatherless child, you tell them something for their own good, they want to cuss you out. When he said when they want to cuss you out, give them a friendly answer. Give them a spiritual answer, even when they want to be maniacs in the spirit. That's how you serve the congregation. It's never personal across the board. And when you learn it's never personal, and you learn how to serve to the body, serve to the sick, and serve to the leadership, now Christ can work through you. Now you'll start learning that the things that you value coincide with the things that the Most High and Christ value. Now you're growing. Read on.
verse 9. Deliver him that suffereth wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and be not faint-hearted when thou sittest in judgment.
So we just read that in verse 18, where it says, deliver them that suffer wrong from the hand of the oppressor, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of earth may no more oppress. Our job is to sit back here and help teach people how to overcome the issues that are plaguing them and are oppressing them. Read on.
Verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless.
That means that's one of the hardest jobs in the world to do. Because when you are a father to the fatherless, when you first get to deal with that fatherless child, more times than not, you're not appreciated. You're hated, you're attacked, you're cursed out, and you are the target. Really, you are the target of the person that abandoned them. And when you're trying to do that person good, a lot of times they lash out on you like they would have lashed out on their parents if they would have stayed there and dealt with you. That happens to brothers when they deal with young brothers. That happens to husbands when they deal with sisters. A lot of times they get the brunt of all the men that hurt them in the past. It's their fault. But he says this is the responsibility that we as sons of the Lord have to absorb. Are we going to embrace being fathers to the fatherless? That's not an easy statement. That's not an easy situation. I gotta inherit all of your baggage. And I gotta absorb all the backlash and all the anger and hostilities that you experience. You're gonna take it out on me before I can actually teach you. Have you not experienced that when you train men? You gotta be the brunt of their hatred. Till they realize, oh, okay, this person does love me. There's certain people that treat you like crap until they realize, okay, this person is willing to put up with my crap. I care for this person now. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that seem insane? I'm gonna test you by being the worst human being possible. And if you can sit back here and get past the gauntlet of my negative, you have attained mastery. I respect you. I'll respect you now because you have gone through the bullshit. I respect you as a person now. I will listen to your counsel. That is what you do when dealing with men and sisters all the time. Right on. And the answer, all you get in the end is the water. Okay. No problem. I underbar. Maybe not even that. You're going to get nothing but crap. For years. Then that person can listen. They all right listeners. What? I took nothing but crap for you. In Christ's name. Somebody had a hand up? No, you got it. What's up? You was about to say con. You're like, I agree. I'm listening. Continue.
No, it was just I was thinking about my little brother. Like he called me a few times and just spazzing out, calling me every name in the book, literally just spewing this venom, and I'm on the other end of it, just wondering what's happening, what's going on. But
whatever it is all your fault.
I can't hang.
Whatever it is all your fault.
I can't hang the phone up.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like second day, he was like, you ain't gonna hang up like everybody else?
Yeah, he's actually waiting for you to hang up. See, you don't love me. You don't love me neither. Like, why should I? But listen, I am agreeing with you, and it shows the love you have for him. But how much more difficult is that when it's somebody that's not blood? Yeah. And they just cussing you out just because. This is why it's so important that we always teach men to be blameless. Because if you're not blameless, they'll use the one thing you didn't do perfect as why I can't stand you. That's why you have to be blameless. Because when you can be blameless and eliminate yourself, they have nobody to attack but themselves. And that's the work. Can you fight every day to be blameless so that another person has a quicker chance to see that they're the sick one? Because most of us are wired to see what another person can't do, but we don't see all the numerous things we do on a daily basis to push people away from us. We are habitual line steppers. But don't let them make one step to you. Oh, they hurt me. They broke my trust. Wow. You're breaking trust every 5 minutes. And we got to eat that. But that is what development and rehabilitation is. And this is what Christ said about binding broken hearts. When you see an injured, and I'm not comparing people to dogs. When you got an injured dog on the street, they got hit by a car, and you want to run out to help that dog. Hey, buddy, you bring your hand out. What's that dog going to do? He going to bite you, bro. And you almost got to eat that bite and still be there until it calms down. You ever see like on Facebook, they have all those images of like the animals that get stuck in like fences, and they're like frantic and they want to bite you, and they're like making all these crazy noises, and they're trying to bite your hand, but you're trying to really unlock them from their situation. And then once you get them out, they realize, oh, you didn't try to kill me. Thank you. Then they'll kind of give you a look, like, then they'll bounce.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it a bunch of times, but while you're getting them out of their little net or their little trap,
They buck you.
they're bucking you. They're going crazy, huh?
Yeah, they're snapping.
But that is what dealing with a broken-hearted person is. That's what's dealing with a sick person. And this is what Christ came down to do. This is what Isaiah 61 is talking about. But this is what we have to come down and do. So if we understand really what the Bible is trying to instruct us to do to rehabilitate a person, what is $15 going to do to somebody? What is $20 going to do to somebody who really is brokenhearted? Absolutely damn nothing. And whoever sat back here and put the thumbs down, maybe if you listen to the whole class, you'll get the entire understanding of the situation. Because if you understand it's not about money, it's about the time you put into somebody and the hours of rehabilitation. And if you don't want the rehabilitation, then why are you on the streets? Why are you in your situation? Oh, it's just a couple of unfortunate events. I'd be back on my feet. Then go do it. But we're here to deal with people's spirits. And if that ain't what you want, this is the wrong camp to get it from. You can go to some Catholic churches and get hooked up on some light bills and utilities. That hustle's out there.
They got all the resources.
There's a lot of hustles. The Vatican got bread. Archdiocese got money. They are okay. And if you got light bill issues, go to the church. Go to the Catholic church. They will square you away. You can go to food banks. There's a whole lot. If you're hungry, go to food banks. You know, problem with Jake? I don't like that food bank food. Well, I can't get no Whopper at the food bank.
You did.
You did. Listen, I know. Yeah. When you sit back here and go to food banks, there's vegetables and there's food. There's good food. But Jake don't want to cook. They want cheeseburgers, Zach. What you want the money for? You can go. There's food right there. Nah, I want to go to the store. Listen, there was a brother. I'm not gonna name his name. I'm not gonna name his tribe either.
No.
This brother was homeless, living in a halfway house. Brother said, "Me something to eat." He said, "No, I only eat fish." Well, shit, you know what, bro? Then you go get your fish.
I'm pescatarian.
I only eat fish. That's all I eat. You on the streets? And you talking this trailer? All I eat is fish.
Better than most people. He eats better than most
I was like, all you eat is fish, B? Then you ain't really that hungry. Now, I ain't going 30 minutes for to get you some fish, G. I don't know what to tell you. That means you got a lot of pride in you. He turned down a straight meal. This dude's stomach is growling. No, I don't eat fish. I don't eat no fish. Oh, okay, brother. Then go take the bus and find you some fish, my dude. Go take the bus and get you some fish. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going home. I gotta deal with your bullshit. I gotta sit back here. Let me put my valet suit on and drive you to the fish market. You want some fried fish, boss? I sure will take you to get some fried fish. That's what you want? You want some red snapper? Yes, Captain. That's what you want me to be?
Yeah.
What kind of craziness is this? How Israel rolls? Most I can't stand a poor man that's proud. You're hungry as hell, but it's got to be salmon. What? Then you go get your salmon ass over there and get what you got to get.
Only the best. Only the best.
It's all mine. But you're on the streets. This is a real life brother I'm talking about. I'm dead ass. And wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that damn long. That was like 2 years, bro.
Nah, less than that, bro. Like,
At least 2 years. At least.
It feels like a
Like, listen, bro. It was fish. I get a lot of requests, bro. I need rides, fish, housing. Like, what? You have a lot of wants. And you can't even stay awake in class for a 2-hour
have
class.
3 scriptures out.
Oh, I'm sorry for sleep, but I don't get no sleep. What the shit? You don't come. You can't stay up. You want fish every damn place you go. This is how men act.
On the little ones.
Yeah, niggas. Oh, yeah, you ain't taking care of the little ones. No, listen, that ain't a little one. That's a big one. That's a big pride. Physically big and mentally proud. I'm not supposed to burst to that type of nonsense.
You can't take some beef on?
Listen, bro, you don't have no food in your stomach. Can you take what you get and be appreciative? Israel can't. And that's the perfect example of a poor man that's proud. And we're not supposed to budge to that. But for the sick who are willing to be worked on and developed, you're supposed to give your life for them. And that's the counterbalance to that. Because a brother will use the fact that he's skeptical about how Jake are to not give it all.
That's the game.
People will sit back here and say, well, they're always prudent. They're always
I have
super
a
skeptical.
schedule to keep.
And they're always super skeptical about people, so that they use that to not give it all. We're not saying don't give. Once you find a person trying to change, you go all the way to them.
Yo.
Listen, if they sit back here and they want you to go a mile, Scripture says go 2. You go above and beyond for the people that are trying to change. But for some suckers that don't want to change, don't want to commit to this, but they got demands, I'm deucing you out, man. You're wasting everybody's time. Okay, let's continue in Ecclesiastes 4.
God, chapter 4, verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless.
Listen, that is responsibility. A lot of Israel wants to feel good because they do something for a quick moment and they get to go and live their life. For a lot of Israel, it's easier to drop some money on somebody and live your life. That's the easy way. If I give you a 50, I don't gotta see your face for 3 months.
See you, bro.
Get out of here, bro. Here, bro.
No problem.
But you better not come and look at me. I gave you money. That's how people sit back here and push people away. But to sit back and be a father to fathers, I'm on the hook for you. Now you are part of my responsibility. You're like another child that I'm responsible for now. That's how you have to look at the students you have. They're your sons and daughters. You're responsible for them like you are for your own children. So if that's the level of dedication that we're teaching, you're damn right I'm going to sit back here and be skeptical on who I commit this level of energy to. What you going to say?
If you're the great man, the scripture was sheep herder.
Kind. Because they understood what it meant to commit yourself for somebody else. Another creature, another person. They understood that their livelihood was predicated on how focused you were on protecting them. David was able to sit back here and take what he learned as a shepherd to be a shepherd of his own people. And you understood it wasn't about you. It was about the need of the body. And the closer we get to the Most High, our desires start to mimic the Lord's. The more we stop making it a burden to be there for the poor, now my thoughts are tying in with his thoughts and his will. But once again, if we're going to sit back and operate at that level, I'm not wasting my time arguing with some poor, proud-ass men. That's not happening. Let's continue.
God, verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of an husband unto their mother.
And he said, and instead of a husband to their mother. That means I have to be a husband without the benefits of a husband. We're supposed to be husbands to sisters, and it's a one-way relationship. And can you accept that? Your job is to do all the work that a husband does and then go your ass home and get nothing in return. That is the level of service the Lord Christ is demanding of us. And not everybody is built up for that. We have to learn to get built to that. But that's the level of commitment we're all responsible for. But so many times, in the name of you got to grow, men want to just sit back here and wipe their hands of the real day-to-day work that it takes to get somebody from A to Z. Because people are really selfish. People really don't want to be fathers to fatherless people. People really don't want to be husbands to mothers. People don't want to be that. People want to drop some verses and go home. Drop some knowledge or a couple bucks and live their life. The real work is in dealing with the counseling every day. Counsel, weighty matters, stressful matters, but you don't get your fleshly gratitude on the back end. That's what Christ is teaching us to do. That's the mindset we're learning how to operate. So this is why we're so skeptical as to how gung-ho we give to every single person that says Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah. Just because they say that don't mean they're worth us putting all that energy into.
On the club now.
Yeah. So listen, let's continue.
Yeah, if you have an issue,
verse 10 again.
I think this cat from Germany hit us up. He told you to hit us on the isbhpk.
On the email. Email us and we'll wrap with you. And we'll get parameters out and we'll start working on those situations. But let's stick to verse 10. Let's keep going.
God, verse 10 from the top again. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of an husband unto their mother. So shalt thou be as the son of the Most High.
So shalt thou be as Christ. Because that was the example Christ gave us. And if we're supposed to live like Christ, that's the level of responsibility we have to learn to embrace. Because it's not easy to be a father to the fatherless. There's a lot of fatherless men in this work. There's a lot of widowed women in this work. There's a lot of people that need your time and your zeal and your mind and your time that you got to allocate to your people. And the more things you allocate to others, the less you have for you and your family. And that's the trade-off that we all have to accept. Yes.
I'll say of all ages, not just grown men, like same ages.
Mm-hmm. It's
ages.
all things, yes. And this is for all of us in this work, because we all, to some degree, have to embrace this dynamic.
I got to pause right quick. Hebrews 13 and 17. Hebrews 13, verse 17.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17.
Because now we're going into caliber of student. Real quick.
Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 17. Obey them that have the rule over you.
The problem with getting counsel and instruction is, instruction and counsel also requires, it's a two-sided game. You can't just receive information, but I don't want to sit here and follow information. I want to receive words, but I want to apply the words. It says, obey them that have the rule over you. Those that rule over you are going to give you instruction. Read.
And submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls.
So you're supposed to submit, meaning I'm giving my conscience to the direction of the person that's responsible for it. Mm-hmm. Read.
As they that must give account.
Because they have to give account for your outcomes. Your outcomes is their responsibility. That's why they're giving you instruction. Read.
That they may do it with joy.
But they're supposed to do it with what?
With joy.
Read on.
And not with grief.
So we're doing caliber of student. Are you a good caliber listener? Are you a good caliber receiver of information?
And that good caliber is talking about humility. I want to make sure we understand we are all capable of being good listeners.
Yeah.
We are all capable of being good counselors. We are all capable of being fathers to fatherless.
Because people say, I'm not smart. This has nothing to do with being smart.
This is about humility. This is what goes back to what the class title was. Humility to the poor, a key to spiritual growth. You don't have to be sharp to be willing to lose your time. That has nothing to do with being a father to the fatherless. Do you have compassion on the poor? Do you have compassion on the poor in spirit? Do you realize that it's not about you and it's about them? That's humility. That is an aspect of humility that we don't drive a lot. It takes humility to sit back here and be a good listener. It takes humility to listen to something that you're really not interested in. But for another person's sake, you give them your 100% attention. You got to actually love that person. You have to love a person enough to listen to them mumble over their words for 15, 20 minutes before you ever get to the point. Sometimes that's kind of hard. You're sitting back here, I'm here to counsel. And then a person is sitting back here running in circles for 30 minutes. And you're like this. And if you raise your voice or get frustrated, guess what happens? It's shut down. You got to wait another hour. Maybe another day. Then it's a fishing expedition to get them to. You ever notice a lot of times we're dealing with counseling people, they're going to talk when they feel like talking. You'll work with them all them day long and they don't say a damn thing. Then it's 1 o'clock. They don't want to yap. They don't give two you know what's about the fact that you're tired and you're beat and you've been running around all day long. They want to talk at 1. And if you don't listen at 1, you don't love me. You don't care about what I'm going through. That cuts each and every one of us in this room because every one of us have experienced that. But that is what humility is. Am I humble enough to put aside my perceived thought that they're not even respectful of my time? Can I get past that and understand that they need me more than I need my time? And can I serve this fatherless child and give them what they need? That's what Christ was teaching us that we were responsible for, to heal the brokenhearted. You have more? You know what?
Read the last part now.
It says that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you.
It's unprofitable to do this work, to counsel with brothers and sisters, and it grieves you. Why is the Most High going to give you what you want when you grieve to do His work? When it's grievous to serve, when it's grievous to listen, when it's grievous to counsel, when it's grievous to put yourself last so that somebody else can feel hurt. This dynamic is all about humility. And do you love the poor enough to lose for the poor? Because we're reading about the poor, but we're going to sit back here and read in Ecclesiasticus 10. Can you put it up? Ecclesiasticus 10, verse 7, 6, and 8. It kind of gives you a dynamic that in the process of a man attaining his riches or attaining the things that make him happy, the poor suffer. This is the trade-off. The trade-off is when you get what you want, when you pursue your needs, somebody else loses. And this is the other half of this dynamic. That person that chooses himself chooses pride. The person that chooses what the body needs chooses the path of humility and the path of Christ. So let's go there. Ecclesiastes and Apocrypha 10, verse 7, 6, and 8.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 6.
No, 7 first, then 6, then 8. I did it kind of off a little bit.
No problem. Verse 7. Pride is hateful before the Most High and man.
What we've been reading about is humility and what the aspects of humility are. If a person's humble and they're serving the Lord, He will give you the desire of your heart. But the desire of your heart is going to be about helping out the poor, helping out the fatherless, helping out the oppressed. That is going to be the desires of your heart if you're really serving the Most High the right way. But the contrary part of that, humility, is pride. And the Most High hates a person who operates in the spirit of pride. Read on.
And by both doth one commit iniquity.
So we're going to read what are aspects of an individual that has pride. We've read about the aspects of a person who has humility. Let's read about this proud individual. Read verse 6.
Verse 6. Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong.
This is an aspect of pride. You just don't have a tolerance to deal with your neighbor's sickness. You can't take being offended. You can't take long suffering. You can't take people wronging you or saying the wrong things or not meeting up to your proud ass expectations. Our people sit back here and walk around here with expectations of how people should treat them. And if they don't treat them to a certain type of expectation, they look down on them. They have disgust of them because they don't meet their expectation of how people should operate. He says the Most High hates your pride. He says he hates your pride because you sit back here and have a hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong. Most High hates an individual that is always, what's the word? That no matter what you do, they're never satisfied. There is, no, I think it's implacable because they're nothing that you do is good enough for them. He says he hates that individual. Nothing your neighbor does brings you peace. You're always sitting back here and looking down on what they're not doing. And that is pride. So he says pride wasn't made for man. It's hateful before the Heavenly Father and man. And he says, bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong. Read on.
And do nothing at all by injurious practices.
And a lot of times that proud person, in order for them to attain the things that they need, somebody else is going to get injured. In order for them to get what they want, somebody else gets injured. That's how you know you're proud. That is a form of pride.
You always use Esau to break the scripture down, but this applies to Israel all the way.
This is Israel. Listen, we were the kings of this when we was in power. Remember what Jehoiakim did? Right after he got into power, what was the first thing he did? I'm going to get my house candy red. Red wood, candy red paint, and I'm going to get all these niggas to fix it, and they ain't going to get no money for it. Remember that? That's what King Jehoiakim did. That's injurious practice. I need to come up.
Me.
When what they're saying is, good Lord, there's no money in the budget to pay them in. Jehoiakim should have said, well, I'll wait until we get the money, right?
Couldn't do it.
But the king, I'm the king, man. The king should have fancy things, so they can wait. I'll let them know the check's in the mail.
I owe you.
The check's in the mail. I owe you.
Give him a banknote.
Listen, I promise you, when the money get right, we'll get it to you. Listen, to get what you want, a lot of times, somebody else has to lose. That process is pride. Just like, in order for somebody else to get benefited from, who got to lose? You got to lose. In the game of life, there's winners and there's losers. How about that? The pride kicks in when you make decisions to benefit you and the sick lose. Your humility's there when you sit back here and make sure other people get what they need and you lose. But in our carnal minds, we're looking for the win-win. I give you, you gain, I get too. But that's not the Bible. The Bible is, you serve your brothers and sisters who need, and they're going to get way more than you're going to get. And can you accept it? The carnal man's life is, I got to get what I need, so you're going to lose. That's the trade-off. And based off the decisions you make will determine if you're a humble person or if you're a proud person. But both parties can't get what they want. The balance is always going to be one way or the other. When I hear clowns online or people that I know in the work talk about balance, then I know these dudes are selfish. That balance word is a selfish word. When you hear balance, it's got to be balanced. Oh, you want it out. You want to get you out the deal
At all costs.
That's when you talk that balance talk. I know it's cap. Because if you really understand what the word is about and what serving God is about, you're going to lose way more than what you're going to get. And then when you get it, it's going to come from an invisible form that you never knew was going to come. That you never knew was going to come that way. And that's how it balances out. From a way that you have no control over. So when you hear that balance talk, the balance talk comes when the Lord sends things to square you away.
He balances it.
He, not you. But in our carnal high, we want to balance out how much we get and how much we give. That's how you know you're dealing with a selfish person that talks about that balance talk. Because the person that really understands the spirit, you're losing. So the body can sustain.
Christ didn't get the balance.
That's the point. Christ didn't get no balance. It wasn't no even Stephen. It was all give, and he got an hour when everybody was asleep. Sit back here and relax. then go back and serve again. So people will really understand what this book is about. Humility is about making sure your life is based upon others getting way more than what you get out to do. And once you learn that that's what life is, you can accept that, that's when your desires will start tying into the Lord's desires. And you guys will all be in sync with the Lord. Does that make sense? Okay. Now let's continue.
Verse 8.
Verse 8.
Come. Ecclesiastes 10 and 8.
Now we go into how kingdoms fall. How camps fall. Read on.
Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
A kingdom is translated from one power to another because of pride. Pride is manifested when people choose their pursuits over other people's needs. When you're dealing in an interpersonal relationship with the body, when one person tries to reach out and get what he needs, he's going to outstretch those resources and the body's going to suffer and lose out. This is why kings that push for their own comfort end up coming at the expense of what the body needs.
Yep.
And when that dynamic happens, the kingdom eventually will fall and tumble over and go into somebody else's hands in hopes that they treat the poor properly. Yeah. That is what the difference between humility and pride really is about. Are you going to take the back seat so that men can grow, or are you going to make it about you and men suffer? There's no even Steven scenario. Come into your realm, your position of leadership, accepting that you're going to lose and the body's going to gain, and the body will be taken care of, and that's the proper balance. The balance is the body is good. That's it. And that's how you show the Lord that you're humble. That was all verse 8. Now let's sit back here and do. What's that?
Are you done with chapter 4?
Yeah, we're done. We finished with verse 10. Let's do Psalms chapter 10, verse 1 through 6.
Psalms chapter 10, verse 1.
I'm ready.
Psalms chapter 10, verse 1. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou face in time? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble?
So David is like, how can you not hear when I know you see these troubling times? Read on.
The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor.
You keep seeing that a proud person, a form of pride, is when in a wicked man's pursuit, the poor lose. The needy lose. Because in order for that wicked man to really rise, the little man has to suffer. What is the essence of capitalism?
Yep.
In order for one person to rise, somebody else has to get stomped out and choked out. As one man is growing, another person's business is failing. You sit back and look at Walmart and Target and these superstores, the more they build in each town. You ever see Edomites like protest Walmart coming into town? I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Because when Walmart comes into town, guess who falls?
Small market.
The small businesses. When all these Home Depots come into town, your mom and pop hardware stores are done.
Yep. They
can't compete. So for one company, as they rise, everybody else has to lose. And this is the dynamic that life presents ourselves. Are you going to sit back here and slow down your progress so that the sick can be sustained? Or are you going to lie to yourself and tell yourself you don't got to be that way? The scriptures is telling us the wicked through his pride persecute the poor, because the wicked choose their life and their pursuit, and they use their resources to augment themselves and add on to their resources versus using their resources as a supply to the sick brothers and sisters trying to change. You can't sustain both ends. Either you're going to use your resources and make it pop and pursue you, or you're going to take your resources to help out your people. Why didn't Jordan sit back here and say, man, I'm gonna knock down the prices of my Jordans to like $50 a pop? Remember when Jordan was doing, when Jordans was Jordans? All you had to say is, man, I'll take my cut, take it off, man, and make these Jordans like $80. Exactly. Or the Shaqs. Why couldn't he make his Jordans $80?
He could make some J
$70.
Chucks. Some J Chucks.
Or listen, he could have broke the market and helped out black people. He could have. But he didn't give a damn about that. Or maybe he was under contract with Nike and he couldn't do it. But when he got his Jordan brand, how come he didn't lower the price of the shoes? It's your brand now. You couldn't do Jordan brand and make them cheap. Make him $80, $50 for the hard-working parents.
Well, even when we look at Steph Curry, Steph Curry is known in the sports world of taking care of the poor and being an advocate for those that are in need. But you look in the news, and the Curry family was angry because they were building apartments around his mansions, which is lowering the value of his mansion. So they're
bringing the element. They're bringing the element in.
They're bringing that element to his neighborhood. Therefore, they're losing value in their house. So they had a real problem with that. But it's the same guy that's an advocate for the poor, an advocate for the needy. But when it comes to the needy and poor being around him, he can't.
I'm okay with the needy. You just can't be within a 100-mile radius of my crib. I love the black people. You just can't live near me.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But this is the scenario. He's telling there is a dynamic in the pursuit of you. You can't help the body, and you do you. This is even with young men in the work. When they're sitting back here and they want their life, they want to live their life, they want to experience things. What is it at a cost of? Shitting on the body, abandoning the body. The people who put up with your crap for years that built you up. I mean, men come into this truth with nothing. They get built up and they're halfway decent. Then they sit back here and go do their thing in the world. What people don't understand is when you pursue you, the body suffers. Or you stay and suffer with the body and you lose.
Together.
This is what Scripture says, in Christ I die daily. What's dying? Your pursuits. And when you acknowledge and you accept your death, that's humility. When you pursue your life, that's your spiritual death. When you pursue your life, that's your pride. Now you're in your pride because you're pursuing you, and what the men need doesn't even matter anymore. He's showing you what a humble person in comparison to a proud person is. A proud person pursues what they want at the expense of the body suffering. That is a form of pride. Now, let's read verse 2 again in Psalms.
Psalms chapter 10, verse 2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor.
He's showing a dynamic between the rich and their hatred towards the poor. The rich and their pride, then the poor and their humility. There is a definite connection between these two aspects. Read on.
Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined.
Was the people that have the power, the people with the money and the power, they have the leverage to continue to build on their position, or they have the choice to be humble and give up their power and give up their position so that the body can grow. And based on those choices, lets you know what kind of man they are. Read on. It's no different than a wife. When you have a wife, she's making money, she makes good bread, and she chooses, when she has options to still submit, she's choosing humility over her pride. Because in her pride, she can sit back here and keep her money, keep her resources, stay independent, and stay comfortable. And now they're in their pride. But then when a person chooses pride, what does the Most High say? He says, let them be taken in the devices that they imagine. So whatever leverage position you take that flaunts your pride, Most High is going to break you in your leverage position.
So it's going to break you in your pursuit. If this was your pursuit,
or if that's your leverage, or that's what you use to sit back here and escape what the body needs, he's going to break you in that pursuit. But for the fact that you chose a pursuit shows your pride. Because we just read what Christ said. Christ said he wants you to sit back here and submit to the poor and to the brokenhearted. That ain't me. That's what the Bible says. So when we sit back and break off from that path of being there for the fatherless and for the sick, now we're choosing that life of pride. Now we're opening ourselves up to get smashed by our own devices, our own methodology, our own logic. Read on.
Verse 3. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire.
Listen, men, their pride is based upon their thinking, their strategy, their wisdom, and what their real passions are.
The true passion.
But the wicked's passions don't connect with what the body needs. That's an issue from a man from the top to the youngest man. Can we learn to line up our passions with what the needs of the body are? Because if we can continue to do that and find peace in that and not find that a grievous process, we are truly humble in the eyes of the Lord. Read on.
And blesseth the covetous,
Mm-hmm.
whom the Lord abhorreth.
Mm-hmm. So he says the wicked bless the covetous. The wicked bless the other people who've learned a better way to stay on top of the weak, or to use the weak, or to manipulate the
They
poor.
found a more creative way to be the
And the
truth.
wicked people praise that.
They buy their books.
They buy their books.
Listen to the podcast.
How to sit back here and use people on a greater level and make these people that are being used think they're being taken care of.
Yeah.
That's what the wicked do. But nobody wants to deal with and come to grips with the fact that if you're really about serving the Lord, can you sit back here and humbly condition your life to be subject to what they need? Nobody wants to accept that very difficult, harsh reality about life. And if you choose that path, that's the path of humility. You choose the other path, that's the path of pride. The path that works for you, the path that benefits you, that's pride. Because you can't benefit you and sit back here and take care of the man next to you at the same time. What you got?
Ecclesiastes 44.
And what verse what?
It's 2, 4, and 5.
Do it.
Ecclesiastes 44 and verse 2.
Matter of fact, you know what? Not yet. Hold it. I got to get this 13 and 20, and then you got it.
Okay.
I got to get this. And once you got it, I got to go to at least I got to get 1 John 2 and 15 out of this whole class. But I'll let you go right after this 13. And where are we at though in Psalms 10?
We just got to verse 4. We haven't read it.
Keep reading.
Psalms chapter 10, verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants you to give it to somebody.
But it's going to tell you why it's not in his thoughts. Read verse 5.
His ways are always grievous.
The Lord's ways are grievous. The scripture said dealing with the poor is grievous. Right? We read that in Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus, I think it was. Was it 4? I think it was 4 and 8. Ecclesiasticus 4 and 8 said, let it not grieve thee to bow down thy ear to the poor. So it says, the wicked man, the Lord's ways are grievous. Because the Lord says, deal with these sick. Give your ear to the poor. The wicked, that's too grievous, that's too hard. Dealing the Lord's way is too hard. Because the Lord wants me to sit back here and deal with these sick folk all damn day long. Commit myself to the needy. I can't make no money dealing with the needy. Dealing with the sick all damn day long. I can't come up. I'm stuck in this pit.
I'm losing behind his
I'm
lies.
losing behind dealing with the sick. That was what Ananias did in Acts. Why do I got to sit back and split all my bread to a bunch of dudes who ain't got nothing to the table? I give up all my fortune so that everybody, and I know half these cats ain't trying as hard as I'm trying. That's one of the first humbling things you got to give up. Whether you think a person is trying or not, you still got to lose for them. And you got to lose your resources so that others can have. And if not, you've chosen the path of pride. We just haven't gone into pride like this before. But this is pride. Read on.
His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them.
Con. Because listen, the wicked want to sit back and celebrate and be around other people that are wicked.
Yeah.
So they can come around and figure out ways to make more money
Yeah.
and take advantage of more sick.
Every beast shall cleave to his life.
Con. When he's like, the Lord's way is too grievous. I don't want to sit back here and lose my money. Then the scripture say, lose thy money for a friend.
Yeah.
You're supposed to lose your resources for the people who need. But you can't operate in these two spaces.
It's true.
Either you're going to live your life for your brothers and lose, or you're going to live a life for you and come up. All these cats that's talking about coming up, brothers have chosen pride. That ease, you want to make your home this fucking castle and revolve everything around it, then you cool. Then the most ain't going to sit back and hit you that way. But you're supposed to sit back and lose for the body. It's not about a game. This is why a lot of times you don't know where men's hearts are in the truth until it's time to lose. A lot of men gain in this knowledge. They gain experience. They gain work experience. They gain scriptures. They gain self-confidence. And then individuals get confidence and strength. And then you realize where a man's heart is at. When men are built up to a certain degree, then a lot of men leave. Because when they realize that this life is really about service, is when you see the pride in men. And men say, you know, forget this, I'm going to go live my life now. That means the man was about their pride.
The whole time.
It was when they were at the disadvantage and they needed, they took. But when you realize you got to give and lose more than you gain, now this isn't for me. That is the proud man versus the humble man that knows that they're losing more than they're gaining in the carnal, but they still choose to give. That's a truly humble person. You don't know where a person is, and you don't know where a person is until he has options. You don't know where a woman is until she has options. Then you know where their heart is at. Then you know if they choose humility or pride. Let's continue.
Verse 6. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity.
I don't want to sit back here and be in an adverse situation where I always got to be losing around a bunch of people that are losing all the time. When you're around people that are a bunch of losing people all the time, guess what happens to you? You start losing.
By proximity.
By proxy. So then can you deal with the fact that I've chosen to deal with the sick? And because I've chosen it with the sick, I'm going to be losing with the sickies? Can you accept that? And can you accept that by doing that, you're pleasing the Lord? Because that's what the Lord said to do. And when you choose the opposite way, you're choosing pride. Let all that go and go to Ecclesiastes 13 and 20. Sickies.
Ecclesiastes chapter 13 and verse 20. As the proud hate humility, so do the rich abhor the poor.
We're seeing that similarity. The proud hate humility. The rich hate the poor. He's telling you the proud hate the poor. The rich hate the rich hate the humble.
There's a reason.
But he's telling you there is a direct correlation between people with pride and riches that despise the individuals that are humble and poor and trying to grow. And we got to make sure we eliminate that pride in us, where we find it grievous to deal with the sick. We find it grievous to deal with the problems of the poor. We got to make sure we check that aspect of that in us. But there is definitely a connection with pride and riches. When the riches just mean leverage. It just means leverage over other people. Leverage and options.
Yeah.
And do I choose my options over what the body needs? Now that's why I said I just wanted to get that, then you can go for yours.
Ecclesiastes 44 verse 2. Because this is why the Most High says to praise famous men. The Bible says praise famous men. Because part of what made men 2 through 6. Part of what made men receiving double honor or needing extra attention is what they did with those abilities, what they did with those riches, so to speak. We're going to find out what those riches are. But read on real quick in verse 2.
44, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Ecclesiastes 44:2. The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
So he's talking about these famous men, the people that we read about every day, people that we aspire to be, match their characteristics of. So read on.
Verse 3. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power.
So they were known for their power, that they had authority over kingdoms. Read on.
Giving counsel by their understanding.
They're able to disseminate counsel, get people off the ledge, so to speak, give them understanding. Read on.
And declaring prophecies.
Yep.
Leaders of the people by their counsel.
So what made them important and what made them needing this extra attention is because they led the people through their counsels. Read on.
And by their knowledge of learning, meet for the people.
So with their talents and with their abilities, what did they decide to do with them? With their knowledge, that their own personal study they put in, they met for the people. They took what they got and they met for the people. Read on.
Wise and eloquent in their instruction.
And they were able to give it back to the people. They studied and they strove for greater understanding so they can keep giving the fatherless children more information. This is what Job was talking about when he said, for the answers I did not know, I sought out. So for the fatherless child, I sought out the answers I did not know. This is what the famous people in the Bible all did. Whether they had the understanding or they did more digging to help out other souls, other spirits that didn't have this understanding. That was what made them remarkable. That's what made them noteworthy. Read on.
Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing.
And this is what we're all supposed to be doing. We're supposed to disseminate or be teachers. Some people, like David, played music to heal souls. Others write classes to counsel, to give people answers and clarity in the Bible. Read on.
Verse 6. Rich men furnished with ability.
Were they rich because they had a lot of money? Or were they rich because they were furnished? Their house, their spiritual house was furnished with ability. They had talents. They had options.
And those rich men took their options and gave it back to the body.
Exactly.
And that's what made them great. I've said it over in many classes. The great men are the men with all these abilities and options, and they still choose to deal with the sick.
Yeah.
That's what makes the great men great.
Or great resources.
Well, great resources and great abilities, and they use all those resources and abilities for the help of the body.
Okay.
That's what makes a man great.
Okay. Read it from the top again.
Verse 6. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitation.
And what also shows is they were content in their life. They were happy and they were living peaceably with teaching, with studying, using their abilities to get back to the people next to them. They were okay with this lifestyle. They didn't have regrets. They didn't look back at their life saying, I could have did more of myself. I could have made a bigger name for myself. I could have aspired for more if I didn't have to carry all these people behind me.
They were grieved with the poor.
Exactly.
That was the word. That was that catchword, grieved. The wicked were grieved with the poor.
Come.
Those men were grieved with the service of the poor.
And this is why they were famous men in the scriptures. This is why the same thing that they did in the scriptures is what we're trying to do now in the flesh. They wrote classes, they counseled, we do the exact same thing. If you had ability, use it for the people instead of using it for yourself. This is a theme that the Bible's always been showing us constantly. The rich are supposed to sustain the poor, and the poor are supposed to be humble enough to receive the abilities of the more developed. It goes both ways. Both have to be humble. The rich or the ones with the ability have to be humble in the fact that they have to concede to someone who needs help. The poor have to be able to understand, you know what, I am in need, so let me listen and let me lock in, not have pride. Both have to relinquish pride in order to get what the Most High is pushing, the spirit of humility, which is what Christ is all about.
Okay.
That's it for that.
I want one more verse because it's getting late. There's more, but I got to get this part in. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 and 16.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
And we're going to explain what are the different elements of a man loving the world. Okay? Some of them are pretty obvious, which we're going to read in verse 16. Read on.
Verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh.
So we know the lust of the flesh. We pretty much have a good idea of that. And we've gone over multiple classes about the lust of the flesh in Galatians and all that good stuff. Okay? Read on.
And the lust of the eyes.
And the lust of the eyes. We're going to go into that with this next line. Read on.
And the pride of life.
The pride of life. We're still dealing with that pride word. That pride versus humility. And he says that pride of life, read on,
is not of the Father, but is of the world.
But that we're going to go into what that pride of life is. Now, you know, it's in I'm not going to read it, but it's in the Webster's. No, I got it written down, but it's in the Webster's dictionary. But that pride of life, matter of fact, there's another book I have in the back that gives this definition. But the pride of life is the hunting after honors, titles, and pedigrees. Great offices and honorable acquaintances. Really, in a nutshell, the pride of life is that ambition. And the other definition of ambition is it denotes an inordinate desire of power or eminence, often accompanied with illegal means to obtain the object.
Illegal, meaning not like I'm selling drugs. I mean, this is out the spirit.
Because, and that's the point. And it means, I put it in captions, capitalizing on the weak. Because that's the illegal process that it takes to fulfill your ambition. That's the pride of life. Why do men want to leave? Because of their personal ambitions. They want to go and find out and get theirs.
Yeah.
But you really can't get yours until somebody else loses. That is the trade-off. What we don't understand is with serving the Lord, there is a trade-off. My life diminishes, but the spirits of the men advance. And can we accept that trade-off? And also on the flip side, when you go for yours and push for your pride of life, and you go fuel your ambitions, are you going to sit back and accept that trade-off that the men suffer for your ambitions to be fulfilled? And can you accept that you're pushing for your pride? That pride of life means somebody got to lose so that your ambitions can be satisfied. That's the trade-off. That's the pride of life. And it says the people with that pride of life, with that inordinate ambition, it says they're not of the Father, but of the world. And it says, love not the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father isn't in you. So it's important to kill those worldly ambitions out of us, because that's what chokes the word out and eventually chokes your service to the body out. When men sit back here with depression and sadness, it's because something in the world, you're telling yourself that you're lacking something in the world and that you need to fulfill it by chasing some ambition.
To be whole.
To be whole. But the problem is you're never going to be whole. You're either going to be filled with your passions and the spirit dies, or you go fill the spirit and the world dies. The only way to be whole is to kill the ambition or the spirit. That's how you're whole. You're not going to be whole balancing this out. That's not how the spirit operates. Either you're going to sit back and be about your ambition and the soul dies, or be about the spirit and the ambition dies. That's how the Lord operates. Does anybody have any questions? We can go more, but I think that's the point. We're going to sit back here and shut down class, and we'll be having the Shabbat want to be ready to go on Wednesday. And shalom, and I'll see y'all soon.
Shalom.
The water.